All right. Back at it again after a week. Let's go. So, last we left off, the party found themselves in Portelaine finally, after a close shave with a wyvern, where several of the people got poisoned, which they are presumably still recovering from, or they are in fact recovering from. The caravan has bunkered down in the town that they managed to navigate their way towards, a town which they have not yet found the name of. When they got there, they were very helpfully greeted by some of the locals. Both of which were not very friendly. Let's see, which are more comfy? Programmer socks and shorts, or jackets and shorts? I'd say socks and shorts, if you're going for comfy. Yes, the party found themselves in a town that didn't take too kindly to them. Vark found himself on the end of a crossbow, and Mallory found himself on the end of some very sharp words and a slammed door.
Hello.
Hello, Addie. How you doing? Yeah, baby.
She's so adorable, man.
Adorable. So,
yes, hi.
After sequestering themselves, bringing the cart in and abandoning their tent on the outskirts of town, and hunkering down in a abandoned building, they slept through the night, awake to the rising sun and a cold, misty chill in the air as you all go about your morning rituals. And I believe you have all already healed a point of constitution, those of you that were poisoned.
I believe we already went through that.
Yeah. So, you all wake up. Some of you feel like death warmed over, some less so. But you're all alive, facing the morning sun, and with the possibility now of getting to know this town properly. Now that you're able to see it in the morning light, you're able to better assess the slow erosion of the city. It's not devastation so much as a march of time, a collapse, as the outermost limits of the town have very obviously fallen to ruin, to pieces, whether through infliction or through the solid march of time and the elements. And the further in you get, the less horribly disrepaired the buildings are. And until you get into the innermost cluster, which you guys are next to, at the base of the cliff there, where things at least seem to be functional and standing up, and the walls aren't coming apart. This early, you do see that there are, in fact, some people out and about, mostly sitting on their porches, or in one case, chopping some firewood, in another case, lugging back and forth what seems to be baskets full of something. That said, Vark has decided to venture off and do some investigation of his own. And Flick has decided he's going to scout out the perimeter for potential threats. The five of you, how would you like to get your morning going?
So where did me and Karya go after setting up the tent and then being told to come into the town? Where did we go?
Here, in this house.
Okay.
In this abandoned house, yes.
Yeah, we went to an abandoned house.
I was watching my music stream, and I was trying to get to my sheet. I was like, wait a minute. I have more audio come.
You were doing what?
There was a bet
one
to
thing
say.
I was gonna ask.
One moment, Drafty. Look, I'm happy to help you and your boyfriend settle a bet, but I'm not the person to enforce that. It's all on you, my friend.
Oh Lord, what's happening?
It's in the chat.
Godspeed.
Apparently, I was used to settle a bet between Drafty and their boyfriend. But it's up to now it's up to them to make their boyfriend pay up. It's look at me, I'm not exactly the type to get the money out of somebody else. Anyway, Kari, you were saying, oh boy.
The question I had actually was, is it safe to assume that this is where we're gonna be here for a while? Yeah.
Hard to tell. The bridge is destroyed. You could always go back, but you'd either have to find another way to ford the river or leave your wagon behind.
Mm-hmm. So,
Looks like
for
hollow,
lack of a
hollow.
better term, hello.
No. I know it looks at Hollow, the buyer of the cart.
The buyer of the cart. Well, with that in mind, I suppose. Yeah, me too, Eddie. I guess the question I have then is, I don't recall what's on our cart. I know that we had building supplies, and we also have the bullet and the wyvern that we've harvested.
Yeah.
Um,
The cart is the wagon is
Oh, yeah.
quite heavy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You also got what remained of the materials and food supplies that were on the other wagon, as well as stuff that was offloaded from the other wagons onto yours after they were cut off and no longer able to cross.
Makes sense. How banged up is this house?
This house, there's a gap in one of the walls, and the door is off its hinges. The windows are broken, but you guys did manage to hunker down in an inner room that had its own walls and door. The larger plan of the house, though, it's not exactly a home. It's at most right now 4 walls and a roof.
Yeah, I
Very
was going to
drafty.
say I would probably try and spend my morning bringing just some extra, like some of the leftover supplies, basically, to into town from our cart to just try and patch this
Yeah.
place up a little
Wait.
bit. I have a feeling we're gonna be here for a little bit.
Your cart is
We'll go
actually
bigger
parked
boat.
here next to it. If you notice, there's parking spaces for carts and wagons here. Presumably, this is one of the. This was a stopping point for traders and wagon trains to come into. Effectively, you guys have housed yourselves in the station carriage area.
I see. Are these abandoned carts or are these actual carts that people have like landed here
No,
with?
these don't seem like they have much use. A lot of them are caked with snow.
Then I'm breaking them down and I'm using that to repair the house. I just want to get it a little bit more livable while we're here.
Do you have carpentry?
Oh no, I don't. I have crafting. To be fair, to better explain myself, I'm like boarding up the windows. I'm doing bare
Yeah.
minimum.
What kind of craft do you have?
I have technically it's just armor smithing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not great
So
at that.
you have training in
Who's covering
armor
the
smithing.
house?
If pulling apart the wagons and basically just pulling getting what nails you can. The nails aren't going to be usable. That's just the simple way of things. Once you pull them out of the wagons, you can't reuse the nails, as they'll be all bent and worn out and
Rusty.
rusty. The boards can be used, and they're not going to be in the best of shape. They are a little bit waterlogged due to the snow melt, presumably over the time they've been sitting there. They can be used, and they will help stop a draft. They're not going to be very durable. And they won't substitute for proper building supplies. But if you're just looking to patch the hole, you're going to have to take some of the nails from the supplies on your wagon. But that aside, you can break them out. It's going to take a good few hours, though.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a decent way to start the morning. We have food. It's just so that we have a decent living place while we're here. Because if I remember correctly, as we were told last session, this is where we were supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it'll be nice to have.
This was your destination. Sans the man
Actually-
you were looking for.
Actually, so what Karya's trying to fix some holes or anything like that, yeah?
Yeah, I'm literally yanking. I'm walking up to the cart, putting my fist on it, ripping it apart, and then going dunk 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 on like the openings to the outside.
I have mending.
Mending- Mending
Oh.
is only good for 1-inch tears and rips and breaks. It takes 10 minutes.
Damn, I could theoretically spam it, but I'll be there for a few hours.
You can do
You're
it for
gonna-
some.
well,
you can
I'm
do
also
it for
gonna
some of
be
the
there for a
smaller
few hours.
breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Could you mend? I doubt it. Could you mend the nails?
no, you
That-
couldn't.
Damn it!
I
I was about to
think-
say, wait a minute, that's
Uh,
genius. Just give him a handful of nails.
Because it typically works on like a rip in cloth or a break in wood or a chip in stone or something like that. It wouldn't.
I guess that's fair. Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, either way, that's how I'm spending my morning.
If Karya looks like he needs any help, I'll help him with some
Yeah.
shit.
You guys can assist each other.
I would like to
Yeah.
get things out to make food.
Okay.
I eat the food.
Okay. So Karya and Holo Holo are going to be working on patching the building. Eiko is going to be working on cooking up some breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Mallory and Siren. That was it. Yes, Mallory and Siren. What are you guys going to be focusing on this morning? Or at least how are you getting started?
Well, I think last time I had collected some pieces of flint.
Yes,
So-
you'd pulled them out of breaks and tears and rendings in the buildings.
Yeah. So I assume that I, like, at the very least managed to just, like, bundle them up in, like, a rag or something.
Yeah.
I think before people started leaving, I would go to Holo Holo and Aiko and ask, excuse me, I managed to pull some of these flint shards from a house as we were looking into the damage that it sustained and what could have possibly caused them. Do either of you have a use for flint? I know that you're more of the crafty type. I have some.
Give
Yeah,
me
I
flint.
highly doubt it. But can I use flint for anything alchemical?
If anything, flint is best used in alchemy as a method of precise cutting for ingredients because it holds such a sharp edge.
Okay. What is
If,
flint?
if
As
you
it
have no need
as it
for
is,
it,
these shards are like slivers of flint. They could be used for that if you were able to if you were able to say fasten it to a handle or stick, basically. It could make a makeshift scalpel, and it could be used for a few things, but it wouldn't last you very long.
I'm a fool. I forgot to add something. Okay.
Well, if you not have any need for it, hello, may I take the flint?
In the words of the man that I came across when I was buying that cart, I'll take your entire stock. Joking.
I like to use burning hands. Not good.
Yeah, no, I don't need it.
Then,
Alright.
I may find some use for it later.
All right. Here you go. And I'll just hand off the flint to Aiko.
She hands you a cloth or handkerchief in which there are a few shards of flint.
And to the inventory. Go. Few
Okay.
cards of flints.
Siren, how would you like to execute your morning?
Would you give it away, Remy, or no?
Nah,
Would you give it to
negligible,
Flint? I
barely
figured.
anything.
Also, I guess this would be something noticeable, but you notice that Holo Holo isn't wearing his winter clothing anymore.
Oh, right. Someone gets to be free from the cold.
Ice plant, baby.
So, Siren. Oh, I see something.
What happened?
For some reason, Siren's voice is disconnected.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh,
it
no.
might be it might be her internet connection. It's been cutting out.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay, well, while Siren types that up, Mallory, is there anything you would like to get done this morning?
Maybe look for some
tracks. I know that the monsters don't leave any tracks, but possibly any clues to where the monsters might head off to.
Okay. So that's a tracking check. You have track as a class ability. That'll be a survival.
Okay, let me see what the class ability actually does.
I believe it gives you a bonus based on your level.
Oh, okay. Oh, half Inquisitor level. I'm level 3, so that'll be a 1.
4 now.
A 4. I'm level 4.
Yeah.
I didn't change anything.
Did you not remember that very important thing where he said we're level 4?
No,
He tagged that everyone.
I didn't remember.
I
Just
think
go
Lynn
into
was. I think Lynn
configuration
had
on
to
your sheet.
go.
Change the level
Yeah.
to
I
4.
did remember pinging everybody about it, though.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
ping everyone though. So counter argument. Also, hi.
It's
hi,
all good.
Siri.
It's all good. Anyways, yeah, you were level 4.
Okay. Well, I will just add a +2 to that and then see what the other stuff is off screen. Survival. Survival. So there it is. And they cancel the +2. Okay, so temporary +2.
What? Rami, I forgot. What bonuses does natural armor apply? Does it just apply to regular
Oh,
AC? Or...
I took the wrong one.
It applies to your touch AC.
There we go.
Oh,
19.
it also applies to your touch AC.
Yeah, it works like armor. So it's sorry, not touch AC. It applies to your
Flatfoot, I take it.
5-foot AC. It applies to your AC and is ignored when someone does a touch attack.
Okay, because I need to just where can I put natural armor at on my thing? I just need to put that real quick. I'll find it. It's okay.
We can handle it. Okay, so Mallory, I assume you're trying to do this while also not giving away that you're stalking around the perimeter of the village.
Yes.
Okay.
Mallory's gonna get shot.
Oh no.
Nothing I can do about that.
So, okay. Darren, are you back?
Yes.
I heard you coughing. Okay. Okay, so while I formulate what happens there, how would you like to describe what you do this morning?
Mallory would just be.
I meant, Mallory, you're scouting the perimeter, looking for traces of the monsters. Siren, you never got the chance to finish what you were saying.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, when we were talking to the townsfolk, did we? Because I don't quite remember. Did they mention that the attacks, that like the people that were attacked, are they like completely gone, missing, or dead, or were there like survivors or injured or something like that?
You don't know.
Oh, we don't know. Okay. Is there the equivalent of a medical clinic or general store in this town?
Do you want to have a wander about and see if there is?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Just throw me a quick perception roll, and I'll go see to Mallory's thing now. So, Mallory. Second.
Yes.
This off. Okay. So, you attempt to walk around quietly here, but the unfortunate reality is this is a bit of a foreign environment to you. You're not used to the cold. And honestly, it's a bit early. You're tired. You're a bit groggy. After a rather unrestful bed down in a drafty house, squeezed in with a bunch of other people, not exactly stately living. But that's not to say you do your job badly. You just don't necessarily pay as much mind to doing this quietly as you do doing it well. So you take some strides around the perimeter of the town, looking at some of the destroyed buildings, looking for marks, inspecting the wounds in the buildings and in the general area, looking for evidence of these creatures, and there's plenty of it. The only problem is there's no evidence of what direction they go or where they are gone. You can use some of the damage to try and figure out how they move, how they hold themselves, and how they moved in and out of the village. And the best way to approximate this is to see where the damage is heaviest and most consistent, and then sort of extrapolate that. The search for the greatest concentration of damage leads you to this area here up on the hill. This section of town is completely deserted. These buildings are, especially the ones further up north, practically falling in on themselves. It's here that you start to notice something like a naturally formed animal path that leads up this way a little bit. To most people, it looks like a deer or a boar path. But there's some odd marks in the snow. And thankfully there was no snowfall last night to help obscure these signs. And from what you can see, there hasn't been some snowfall here for a few days, with how the permafrost and how the snow has set in. And you're beginning to observe this path when you hear trudges in the snow near you. I'm going to assume you look in that direction.
Yes.
Well, coming up the hill with what looks like a bundle of chopped firewood under their arm, is a familiar-looking hobgoblin.
Her.
Yes, the tall, well, I say tall, the statuesque woman, sharp features, burnished red skin, looks to be tribal, cultural markings, and her characteristic sneer as she regards you. She stops for a moment and says, "You still here?"
Uh, it'd be worrisome if I weren't here after the night.
I was hoping you'd taken my advice and left. Or was the door in your face not hint enough?
I've been known to be quite difficult at times.
Tell me about it. Well, if you're going to be bumming around my town for a while, you can at least tell me what the hell you're doing.
I'm simply looking for clues, tracks, anything that would indicate what type of creature is so mercilessly ravaging your town, and maybe where they went.
Oh, good luck with that. Better hunters have tried. That she readjusts the wood under her arm and continues walking.
I'll just keep looking.
Okay, we continue inspecting. Siren.
Yes. I got a 20.
Very nice. So, Siren, you walk down the main street going through the town by what looks to be the main cluster of occupied and active buildings here. Up on the hill, you do see what looks to be what might have been a trading post at one point, but that is very obviously empty. That being up here, you see what looked like the door to an apothecary store up there as well nearby. But like many of the other buildings, it is vacant and in disrepair. Down here at the bottom seem to have been things like the main offices. There is a what you assume to be the elders or the chief's hall. The primary stopping post, so where the horses were stabled and the wagons and carts were loaded up. And there were farms and what looked to be threshing and milling sections. This is where a lot of the agriculture, a lot of the greeting of guests happened, and where a lot of the official business went down. A lot of the residential and a lot more of the stores and such were, or the businesses were up on the hill. Is there a particular reason you were looking for these?
Yeah, I was I was asking if there was a general clinic because I'm looking to buy a healer's kit, but also I was looking for a clinic and a general store because I'm looking for concentrations in which people would gather, either because they needed something, they needed like medicine or healing, or even if there's like a church or a place of faith where they would gather in times of great turmoil. Basically just looking for where people would normally gather to get something.
Okay. Well, as it seems, there isn't much of a presence of a town doctor or even a town merchant. Those businesses seem to have closed their doors, presumably not of their own will. Where you do see a good chunk of activity, at least relatively speaking, is down here. Sitting on his porch, crossbow at his side, is the old man. Did you meet him? I remember it was Vera.
I was in the group that met him, yeah.
Yes, it was you, Vark, and Aiko. So yes, there's the old man that you recognize from before. He currently chatting to what looks to be a older-looking woman and a young boy, or young man, I should say. Can't be any older than like 16 or 17, whereas the older woman in this case is along in age. She has visible bags and wrinkles. What sets her apart, though, is her size. She is very clearly a halfling. She's standing about 4 feet, and seems to stoop a little bit further than that as she leans on a gnarled stick she uses as a cane. And she is currently locked in what sounds to be very enthusiastic conversation with the old man, which is speckled with the odd bit of profanity that carries over the snowy street all the way to you.
Oh, I would be able to hear this conversation.
Bits and pieces, yes.
Okay.
Words like crone and codger and moldy piece of shit come through every now and again. They seem like they had.
Yeah, I'm getting bits and pieces. If I used my racial trait, wind carried voices, would I be able to discern more of this conversation without getting too close and
Absolutely, that is the
spy on
perfect
them?
use of that ability.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just gonna kind of chill and occasionally look over at them.
stopping and allowing the winds to carry the voices to you. You listen in, and it's... can I get a sense motive from you? Can I get a sense motive? Very nice. So, at first, it sounds like these two are in a full-blown argument. Like, they are tearing into each other, hitting all of the soft points you could possibly badger somebody about. But it's... After some time, you start to get a feel for the tone with which they speak to each other. And you start to get the idea that this is routine, and perhaps even a way that these two get along. This is the way they speak to one another. The fact that the young man isn't, isn't involving himself, and he doesn't seem to be cowering, so it's obviously not because he's intimidated, but because to him, and the expression you can kind of make out of his face from this distance, is this is a matter of course. This is how the two of them start their mornings. Or maybe this is just a luxury they indulge in every now and again. But this seems like normal to them, and after a little bit, and also the odd glance to the side, you do also occasionally catch what looks to be small smiles on their wrinkled mouths that you can make out from this distance. It seems like this is, for as acerbic as the words that they use are, this seems to be in good fun for the two of them.
Oh, I ship it.
Nice. So yes, the elderly halfling and the elderly human man, are busy ripping into each other right now. But it doesn't seem like there's any heat in the words.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is
like gossiping or.
No, not yet at least. Then again, you don't know if these two gossip or if this is the limit of their communication.
And you said that this is like a place where people generally go to cut wood and.
Well, like the area down here, from what you can tell, this is the threshing, milling, farming, and grading area. This is where travelers pass through. This is where they're met by the people of the town, and this is also where a lot of the stuff that has to do with the crops and the farming happens, as you can tell by the amount of fields.
That's perfect, actually. So I am going to politely approach, this elderly couple and this young man. And as I'm approaching them, I'll say, "Oh, good morning. I don't mean to intrude on the conversation. I just wanted to ask. I am a traveling healer, and I wanted to know if it would be all right if I sat in a corner around in this district, and set up a bit of a tea set for people to come, ask for healing or for advice or conversation. I'm here to offer my services should anyone need them. Just any help at all. This is what I usually do in the towns that I visit. Is that all right?"
So while you're saying this, you're giving them your elevator pitch. So after a manner, the old man recognizes you, leans into his knees, now no longer shouting at the old woman. The old woman, ceasing in her shouting, is now looking up to you. She gets a twinkle in her eye when she sees you and the what you're talking about, and says, "Well, if all you do is sit on the corner of a street and offer a bit of tea and a quick miracle here and there, well, I can hardly see somebody disagreeing. But you won't find many people who will come up to you, a stranger sat on the corner of the street. How exactly do you plan to help people like that?"
Well, I mean, help is best given when it is asked for and required of the person who wants it. Healing is not proper healing if it's not consensual. I am not going to force it upon anyone. It's all right if many people don't come up to me. I'm just going to sit here and offer it anyways. Do my best that I can.
She gets an odd look about her. The young man seems to have, as with the other with the conversation between the two older folks, has taken a backstage, quiet position here. He's not said a word. As I said, looks to be somewhere around 16, 17, young human man. He keeps to the side and just seems to be content with observing. The older woman looks you in the eye and says, "An interesting methodology, I understand. Well, far be it from me. If you wish to sit all day at the corner of a snowy street or in one of these," she gestures around, "shells of a house, then by all means. Odd girl."
Yes, if anything, I'll just be sitting here drinking the sky.
You do that.
And I will continue to do that
Mm-hmm.
until I feel like it's getting too cold, or if the streets are getting too empty, or if it's getting too dark, or if I'm needed by the party. And just kind of keep an eye out and use wind. What is it? Wind.
Wind carried whispers. Wind carried
Wind
voices.
carried whispers, and just kind of get a sense of what people are talking about and look
Okay.
around at people. Just
Yeah. The
on any information. And if something seems interesting or relevant, then I may go up to someone and ask about Roscoe, or ask if they know more about the attacks that have been going on,
okay.
if it seems relevant.
Matt, you say if the streets get too empty, and that is
Oh,
already,
right.
yeah.
I should be more specific.
Yeah.
If it seems like there's it's very desert in a way that would
Like,
spell
it's
threat, like how
like
a
it
forest
sounds and
normally
looks like a
clears
ghost
animals.
town, basically.
Yeah, like how a forest will normally clear of birds and animals when something is about to attack. If I get a sense like that, then I'll go back to the party.
Okay. All right. So you set up shop. I'm going to assume you pull a chair from one of the houses or something. Perhaps pull a table as well. Set up your tea set. And get to sipping and gazing and eavesdropping on gossip.
Just leave my big ears open.
Mm-hmm. Now, the town itself is not terribly busy. It's just by definition, it's practically a ghost town as it is. Every now and again, you'll see someone crossing the street, or hauling firewood, or bringing materials. They seem to be taking making a regular duty of trying to at least keep some of the buildings up and operational, keep them insulated against the cold, and setting up rudimentary defenses here and again. There's now and again you'll see someone who looks to be an older dwarf whittling a stick into what looks to be a rough spike or spear, and then planting that in the dirt, making a small wall out of those around his yard. You see snares being set on the perimeters of the town. It's overall of unique people active in total. You count at most about 20, which is not a hell of a lot, especially for a town that is grown as big as it is. That's not enough people to occupy all the buildings in the town. This place is thoroughly depopulated.
Mm-hmm.
This barely counts as a community at this point.
I see.
And since a lot of them tend to spend a lot of time on their own, going about their own tasks, you don't hear a lot of gossip. Sometimes you hear one of them talking to themselves. Whether it's just grumbling ramblings, the odd bit of singing or whistling, or in a couple cases, like with the old dwarf, you hear him talking to himself. And I mean talking to himself. And over the course of the time, the winds bring you the sound of what is effectively a man having a conversation with a wife and a daughter, which are no longer here. A lot of apologies and my faults and a lot of indictments against himself, calling himself a failure. It's a common theme with a lot of the conversations you do catch. This town is doomed, that there's not a lot of people left, and those that are left tend to be older or young, less capable, and with every person that leaves or gets taken, or killed, or who falls to a disease, they're left with less and less people, and their town begins to dwindle both in capable bodies and overall population. And that, in particular, in a few instances, that they failed their younger generation, and it's not the old that are supposed to outlive the young. At this point, they don't even have the people together, and the manpower, and they don't even have horses at this point where they would be able to make the trek out of here to warmer climes and to civilization, even if they were willing to abandon this post and and if they were to willing to abandon the possibility that Roscoe is still alive. Yeah. A depressing vista, but one that is the reality of this situation. And in the time that you are sitting there, not a single person approaches you.
Understandable.
Mallory, you are still
Yes.
inspecting the area, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I would like another survival.
Okay. While that happens, I picked my second level spells, and one of them is see invisibility.
Okay.
Do I cast that and then roll?
Yes, you may.
All right.
Something to note is that see invisibility only helps you see through active invisibility effects. If there is a magic that is hiding something, it will let you see through it. But if it's something that was, if it is something that has already passed through, or if it's something that was hidden through other effects, it will not help.
Okay.
But that's just a note for the future when using it.
All right. And I'll also add in the spell follow aura. And I'm just shooting a wild shot here, and I'll look for chaotic creatures. No, not chaotic creatures. Evil creatures.
Okay. You said follow aura.
Yes.
What exactly does that do?
That one. Let me see. I pick an alignment type between chaotic, evil, good, or lawful, and I gain the ability to follow the trail of a strong or overwhelming aura of that alignment. And this is treated as tracking using the scent quality, except when following traces of their aura on the ground rather than their scent, and I receive no bonus on perception checks.
Okay. So if it's of a strong or overwhelming aura, you are able to follow the trail as if it were scent. Gotcha.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you smell their evil. It just means it functions like the scent ability, which allows you to track stuff without actual tracks being around.
Can you smell their color though?
Hey, call back.
Shut up.
So you enact. So you allow yourself to see past the unseen, and then you enable yourself to see the lingering effects of evil creatures. Now roll me that survival.
Alright. There we go. Need to remove this buff. Okay. Survival. A 28.
Excellent. Okay. So, Mallory, inspecting further around this animal trail. Unfortunately, your sea invisibility does not unveil any sort of object or tracks or anything. So the tracks themselves are not being actively hidden by any sort of magic. So whatever it is that concealed their tracks made it so that either it covered their tracks or stopped them from making them in the first place.
I see.
You could give me a knowledge arcana, if you have it, and you could use that to try and remember or surmise what sort of spell could do that.
Knowledge Arcana. Alright. A nat 26.
Very nice.
I'm slightly worried with how well you're rolling, Lynn, because...
Oh, this is always the best kind, because it's going to be, when it gets to combat, you're going to have none of these.
Yeah, we're going to be absolutely dicked on.
Yep. Right. There is a spell that is performable by even the most novitiate of primal casters, and that is Pass Without Trace, which stops you from forming footprints or leaving a scent trail. Makes it so that anybody tracking through non-magical means has no chance of following you. So, yes. By all appearances, and by your best estimation, that is it is something, if whatever you're facing has access to primal magic, this would be doable by basically any creature like that, regardless of power level. So, and also, it's the most reasonable assumption that this is the spell that's in effect. What doesn't explain it, what it doesn't explain is how these creatures manage to attack unseen, even under the cover of night, without even being spotted. Compounded with the fact that they attacked using flint weapons, it is, at the very least, more than likely some sort of reasonably intelligent species capable of magic that possibly also has animals in tow.
See. Oh, but did the follow aura do anything? Or is that still nothing?
No, it unfortunately does not pick up on anything.
Alright, so they're not overwhelmingly evil.
Now, it should be said, the way that auras work in Pathfinder is weak, moderate, strong, and overwhelming auras do not mean like something is especially evil, except in the cases of things like demons and such. Demons and devils and daemons. What it usually means is the power of the creature of that alignment. So if something has a strong or overwhelming aura of evil, it is because that creature is high level or high power.
Okay.
Or it could be that they have magic on them that is has a very strong aura of evil, or if they have magic items that leave such trace. But you see no such thing in this case. So whatever it is, it either isn't evil, or it's just not a extremely powerful evil creature.
Okay. Well, I at least got some information from this.
Mhm.
I'll probably just return to town and convey this to whomever is still in that weary little house.
Okay. You
All
return.
are still.
You return to Aiko, who more than likely at this point has finished making breakfast. Karia and Holo Holo a good bit through patching one of the walls. And on the way back, you do spot Sirin sitting at the side of the street with a table and a chair out, sipping tea and glancing down the road now and again.
I like to imagine that Siren is just kind of like that free therapy from like the Peanuts. Just
Yes.
sitting there. Just like,
Yeah, that's me.
tell me your woes.
5 cents.
Yeah,
I think-
exactly.
Yeah, for 5 cents. I think if I saw Mallory coming back, I'd like wave to him and kind of get up and go over to him wherever he's going.
Okay. Yeah, if you do that, you'd basically be following Mallory back to the house.
Yeah.
As you-
Mallory doesn't wave. It's unbecoming.
Yes, it's not. It's gauche.
Well, if it isn't the grumpy little blonde one and the cheery happy one, hey everybody. Food's up.
As you guys are coming back, you're basically strolling down the main street as you get back to the house. And it's there that as you're coming by, occasionally you see some people peering through their windows or out on their porches. They give you an odd, askance look, but say no other word of it. And eventually you get back to the house where, yes, you're greeted, and the smell of breakfast cooked using rations. So yes, you all, I assume, sit around, partake in breakfast. Vark and Flick do eventually come back as well, before then splitting and going about their business once more.
Yeah, while we're eating, I guess I'll just turn to the two who left and just kind of, I guess, the casual conversation. Like, so, any more crossbow shots? Any more information? Or are we just kind of stuck?
As you asked that, Aiko would like to take out that bag, the little thing of Flinton's, as she's eating, just kind of look at it for a bit and start thinking some things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went and sat out in the main thoroughfare, as much of a main thoroughfare as they have at least, to try and kind of do my thing as a healer and offer my services in exchange for conversation or anything that people might be saying to themselves or to each other out in the streets, see if I could acquire information that way, so as to not stir any trouble or, anything like that. Oftentimes you acquire a lot of information when it is said when they think that no one is hearing. But I didn't really get much. They seem to be pretty hopeless, unfortunately. It's quite sad.
Oh, that sounds about right for being out here.
Ari
What did Ari just
Oh.
do?
Sorry.
fucking sub-bombed us.
Jesus Christ.
What? Did she donate again?
Yes,
Yes.
she sub-bombed us.
Ari, Jesus Christ.
It's,
Ari saw an ad and thought, this can't be it.
This can't be.
let's see. She got Grim, she got Vera, she got Manic Pixie Final Girl, Drafty as well. Lem Gambino, don't know that person. Icky24, Yimph got hit, heard he. Licky Glock, I recognize that name, and Lynn.
Oh, hey,
And
look,
Ari reconfirming her sub. Thank you very, very much. It's too kind of you.
my
Wow.
lord.
My name is Sully.
It's not. Yes, it is.
Then
No, it's not. Do you remember we had this whole debate yesterday about how we... Yeah, Sully the other day was like, Suki, why do you call him Frey? And she looked at me and was like, because we're doing that. Like that's what we do. It's our names.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of
Well,
Sully,
I'm glad you're doing better. Make sure to save up. But also, I recognize, I respect your autonomy and how you spend your money. I'm glad you're doing better. I'm glad you're doing well for yourself now.
it is good to hear out of Ari. I've been missing Ari. Where's she been? Like,
Here and there.
Dead. That's true.
But she's been active in the L5R chat.
yeah, that's true. I've seen that. I saw that. I just haven't talked to Ari in a while. Anyways,
Yeah.
hi Ari. We love you. We miss you.
I've got a few people that I've been hoping to talk to more recently, but it's been a doozy, even just being active.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a vibe.
Anyway, so
Yeah, then
Right.
I guess I'll turn to Mallory at this point and go, and what about you, short, blonde, and grumpy? You find anything?
1, I am not short.
So do
2,
they.
Mom, Dad, why are we fighting?
The silence. That was all I needed to hear.
Silence.
The silence.
I cast Brand on his forehead.
Oh boy,
Oh boy, PvP
let's roll for
already?
initiative.
Damn.
Let's roll.
Oh my God,
Going for
roll
PvP.
All right, that's a 20 damage. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
That's
you
PvP
can.
damage.
You see. Here's the difference. You may be able to inflict a 22 damage on Mallory, but Mallory can put a unremovable brand on your forehead that says "dickhead."
That is true.
The spell, by the way, doesn't go away if the caster is killed. If you remove the skin the brand is on, that removes the mark. But if you ever benefit from any healing that would restore that skin, the brand is immediately restored.
That's
The
only-
worst spell.
Only person that can remove the brand is the Inquisitor themselves.
That is hilarious.
Bro, that's just fucking evil. Bro.
Well, that's how Inquisitors put a brand on a criminal in such a way that they cannot hide and cannot remove.
Let's see.
One is
You're
emotional.
not that evil.
Physical, one is emotional damage.
Yep,
You're not that evil, right?
Inquisitors have some funky situational spells, and that's why I love them so much. Is they got some great ones kicking around in their spell list that other classes don't get access to.
Anyways, yeah, no, back on track though.
But while you two were bickering, well, I should say Karia was the one that started it. So,
Yeah.
so slighted by the towering half-dragon, does Mallory respond?
I cast.
You cast Brand.
Do you actually?
Do you actually?
I actually cast Brand.
Oh no.
Okay.
You're
If you're sure about this,
God
Are
damn
you-
it!
Do you want to attack the strong
Please
dragon?
don't. I don't want to. I don't want to.
Please don't.
I would like to cast sleep on the both of them. if this is gonna go forward. Well, I know it works on one of them.
Yeah, can you imagine Karya instigates, then Mallory gets put to sleep, and he sits there like,
okay.
Yeah,
It was
and that's
a
a good
joke.
way for me to find out.
I am asking because I need to be very sure about this. Are you actually casting this, Mallory?
I guess not anymore.
No.
Yeah,
Good.
just to keep in mind that you
Wallop.
guys are supposed to be here working together. You were raised as a noble who was raised with decorum and who's not supposed to rise to basic bitch insults like this.
Yeah, really, that was such a lowly insult. It was anything. It was a light jab, like,
Yeah,
sure.
like this is the kind of
Friendship.
lowbrow shit you expect from peasants like Karya.
Exactly.
I guess I
I
had a
would stand
mild
up and
Freudian
smack
slip.
both of them.
Let's just say that Mallory's fingers twitch and he kind of, almost by instinct, gets ready to do it, but then thinks better of it.
Yes.
Proud of you.
You're better than this.
You're better than this.
You're better than him.
He's roasting you. You're better than this.
Just remember, Mallory, you're better than all.
Yes, I am better than all of them.
For
And
I
Proceeds
so-
would put my hands on Mallory. I'm kidding.
Proceeds to dirty, the bad, dirty cry in the fucking back. Or some shit.
So,
The
Mallory,
mascara that took him 5 hours to apply is now off his face.
Mallory has been prodded for information.
Yes, and he will give the information. I have surmised that the creatures that have been attacking this village are of some primitive intelligence, and are capable of casting spells. For example, their ability to leave unnoticed and untraced is because they can cast a spell, pass without a trace.
So do you think it's the work of a spellcaster then?
A spellcaster and his entourage.
Think it could
I-
be the same one who assaulted us on the road?
Possibly. I wouldn't shy away from that conclusion.
As this is going on, I would like to finally peep up and say, I'm not good with rocks or anything, but maybe you should ask some locals and see where we can get flint. Maybe that will help us find where they could be located near.
That's a good idea.
Well, flint isn't very much of a hard commodity, if I'm being honest. I mean, I
Yes,
feel like I
but-
could walk out and go get some right now.
Looks at the
Yes,
gravel
but-
pile outside. It looks like
Yes, but we can find big enough quantities. We can at least find some areas to look for.
Yes,
Taking
I
clues.
am aware. I'm just letting you know. That's also if we can get them to talk with us.
That's true. Or
You
also,
can't-
would
you-
any of us know of groups of creatures or groups of individuals who would operate in this fashion with flint and some spellcasters?
Goblins, but I don't want to say that.
Would they be intelligent enough to go this long attacking a single town full of people?
Absolutely.
They're a menace.
I see. Well, yes, I've heard. I've never encountered them myself. I always just assumed that they were too foolish to go this long on attacks, but that is quite impressive.
That's slightly racist of you, Sue.
That is
I
very
would-
racist, Syrian.
I was
They
at the
often
say
go attacking people. I mean, I think any racism that people have towards them is little to none compared to the killings that they do on people.
prejudice, are we?
Regardless, before we get into this whole debate, no, it'll turn to Syria. Goblins are goblins are dumb, but they're very intelligent where they need to be. And if they find an easy place to raid, they will raid it until it is gone.
And I know this because I have a love of starting fires, but you can find flint
Oh.
by riverbed.
Hey.
You can find
yes,
flint along
that's true.
rivers.
I have a love for starting fires.
Mhm.
Speaking of, how much did we get repaired of this place, just out of curiosity, while we were?
We
doing
managed
all
to
that?
patch up one of the walls.
That's not bad then. Yeah, I was curious because I know there was a fireplace. I was about to say, we could just start a fire so we don't get freezing cold at night.
I now imagine like a house with just one brick wall and then the other trail of bricks to form what would have been a wall. And then we're just
So,
It's a backdrop.
No, I'll not do that. So you guys have surmised that it could be goblins. That a place to look for a ready supply of flint would be along a place of mobile water, usually rivers. That's where flint tends to collect on the riverbeds and the river sides, and where it is worn smooth by the water, so that it is that it comes in small shards and chunks. They're easily manageable and shapeable.
Is there a river nearby at all?
There is one directly next to the town.
Right. We parked next to it. Well, we have to get the tent anyways.
Yes, sir.
Actually, wait,
Watch-
that's
wa-
it
watch-
unintentionally.
Watch
That's-
the tent be gone.
No, actually, that's what I was about to say. That's actually unintentionally a really good way to see what kind of thing would be taking it. Because if it's smart enough and intelligent enough to, because there are some things that just cast spells on a whim. There are some other things though that if they had intention of wanting to take it, then they would have just stolen it. Or alternatively, if they just destroyed the tent, they might be mindless. Or double alternatively, it could just still be there. Anyways, with that in mind,
You confused me.
Kara will
So
kind of
good.
sit up and go, well, if we need to think about a riverbed, we did set up the tent right across the way. I need to go get it anyways, so I can go check.
I'll go with you.
Sounds
Okay.
like a
We all
plan.
should go.
Are you sure that not moving as a group isn't going to arouse? I mean, moving as a group isn't going to arouse huge suspicion that we already have.
We already have so much. What is a little more?
That's true, but I also don't know what else to do, if not that.
Yes, but also, while it is suspicious, I think it's also a better idea to, since we only have ourselves right now, something were to happen, it would be better for us to be in a group than separated.
We get attacked out there.
If there's another one of those damn dirty wyverns, I'm not going to deal with. No, I'm kidding. No.
Exactly.
I'm just
Prejudice.
kidding.
Prejudice, aren't we?
You weren't stabbed in the chest like I was.
Is discrimination a crime?
Technically, no.
All
Then
right.
unjustifiably, perhaps.
Those damn nugget.
Those
What?
damn and no good wyverns, Jesus. Anyways.
Birdie has redeemed
Well,
self-care. Sit up straight, take a drink, unshrimp your backs.
All right.
I'm sick. There's no such thing as self-care.
Yes,
That
I'm
is-
gonna
Bro.
Well,
No.
go to
see,
bed.
there's self-care, and then there's practicing the opposite of that, which is other harm.
Oh, true.
Anti self care. Yeah, harm. Well,
Yes.
with that in mind, I suppose we will, thank you, Purdy. What I guess we'll do, is finish up breakfast, get some, probably not even pick up supplies, just, weapons and whatnot, general stuff. And then, make our way back to the tent.
I guess so.
Alright, well then I will go ahead and grab my Bardich, and then I will go ahead and just kind of see. Where is Vair? I just thought about that. Where is my dragon? Where did he go? Where's my brother?
He has
assume
been
he's
happily-
like
Silver flame.
He has been happily, sort of lying in the snow, whipping his tail back and forth as he keeps an eye on the outer perimeter along the river.
Oh, good. I guess when I step out, I'll kind of lean out and go, could be goblins. I'm gonna go check.
Little puff of purple from Vair's nose as you hear in your head a little, didn't surprise me.
Me neither.
Oh,
I cast brand.
yes.
About
No!
what?
I cast sleep.
Hold,
I
hold.
cast smack.
I cast stab.
I cast Clashing
Snipe.
Rocks.
I cast daydream. It
no.
was all a daydream.
Okay,
Damn,
good.
bro. Holo
Dream
Holo will
within a
say though,
dream.
when it comes to goblins though, that, well, I do speak with fluent goblins, so maybe we can just communicate.
That, I would ask why you speak Goblin, but the same thing comes about that why I speak Necrol. So I get that.
I speak a multitude of languages.
Hey, wait a minute. You speak necro?
Don't worry about it.
Secretly a spy for the vampires.
Yeah, secretly I don't hate the vampires. I love.
Alright, I roll initiative against Courage.
What did I do?
Traitor!
He's secretly a
time-
ghoul.
Time to use that touch AC.
Secretly, I am a vampire. I've been
Hmm.
lying to you all.
Hey Matt, that's a
Vampire
pretty
drag.
hey Matt, that's a pretty sexy touch AC that you have there. I'll be ashamed
Stop.
if I targeted it.
I swear to God, I'll hit you with a fucking fire breath and stun you all, and then I'll beat you all to death. Anyway, stop it. Are we all ready to head out?
Not if you roll
Uh-huh.
several natural ones. Joking.
So, the idea, from what it sounds like, is the group is going to move, go pull up the tent, and have a look at the riverbed, see if you guys can find some evidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, while we're on the way, I think I got a little thing that can help us with this, or at least help me.
What's that?
Whispering Lore. The elf-specific spell.
Whispering lore. Describe to me what that is.
Upon casting a spell, you're able to gain the knowledge from the land itself as you walk through the terrain. It whispers information in a language you understand. Essentially, it gives me a +4 insight bonus on a single knowledge skill, appropriate to the type of terrain I'm in.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we're looking for like tracks or like anything like that. I take it.
Yeah, you're looking, say, in this case, for evidence that Flint has been taken from an area on the river, or that there's tracks moving through, or something like that. Evidence that there has been people combing through here, and
I'll
just trudging about.
Yeah. So, what would you say would be appropriate since we're in a tundra or just a boreal forest in general?
Single knowledge skill. So if you're looking for people passing through, that's a survival or perception roll. In this case, a knowledge roll would be to say recall or find out information about a terrain or about an area. You could still use this to try and perhaps think about the kinds of creatures that would be here, or try and figure out the topography that you may give you some clues about where to look, what direction to go.
Actually, yeah, I'll do that. Like give myself a buff to like knowledge, I guess like nature or geography.
Knowledge nature, knowledge geography would be appropriate for this.
Okay, then I will. I'll do that, but for knowledge nature though, since it's I don't have proficiency, or at least it's not a class skill. I don't have knowledge.
If you don't have a point, if you're not trained in a knowledge skill, it doesn't matter if it's a class skill. If you don't have a point in a knowledge skill, you can still roll it, but you only get as much knowledge. You only get as much information as if you rolled a 10, no matter how good you roll.
But regardless, I have knowledge nature though.
You can use that.
So, yeah. So that's a +4, and I'm gonna add.
While you're doing that, and you're inspecting the landscape and having a look around, the others, I assume, are going to be busy pulling up the stakes on the tent, which is going to be some work, because over the course of the night, the ground froze a bit again.
Is the tent still there?
The tent's still there, yes. In fact, it's practically untouched.
I was actually okay. Well, then that probably leads.
Wait.
I was gonna make tracks near it.
That roll isn't weirdly. It's not correct because I have a +17 to it and it rolled a 17. So I guess it would be a 21.
It rolled.
It
rolled with a +13.
Weird. I don't know why, because it just says on my sheet I have a 17 bonus to it.
Yeah, it added a +13. Maybe you put it in weirdly.
Yeah. So regardless, it'll be a.
Did you put a plus in there?
I did. I just.
Yeah, you don't enter the plus. You just put the number in.
Oh wait, no, I didn't add a plus. I just added the 4 under temp. So, but yeah.
Yeah, you rolled a 4. It was a +13. That's why it came out to 17. So technically, this would come out to 21.
Yeah. So yeah, 21.
So the rest take their time pulling up the stakes, checking around, seeing if there's any evidence of tampering. There is actually, for those of you who want to do that, while you're busy pulling up the tent, give me a perception.
So what perception for? I'm looking at thing beside. I'm looking at thing that I could potentially do.
Well, that's the question. What do you want to do? Are you checking around to see if the tent has been messed with, or you want to do something else?
Well, considering the fact that I think I'd be pretty useless at helping the tent, I'll look around for a bit as I. Not exactly strong.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Arya, being the one-man, what do you call it, a tent setter upper at the moment.
I'm not doing this again.
Yeah. It's being distracted as well as busy with the tent. You're going to be going at a slightly higher DC. Especially after the second or third stake of pulling it up from the freshly frozen ground. Unfortunately, ooh, nice. Unfortunately, thawing the ground last night worked a little bit against your favor, because then it refroze and became even more solid. So it takes some extra work with a crowbar, no less, to yank the stuff out of the ground. You do eventually do that. Then you're able to pack up the pavilion tent and put it back in, and that in itself requires all of you to work together because the pavilion tent is fucking big. If not only just the posts and the massive tarpaulin that it's made out of. So as convenient as it is to house up to 10 people under it, it's also very bulky. You pack it back on. Obviously, you tear it all down and get ready to transport it back to the wagon, which is still in town. So in order of least success to most. Karia, you're huffing, you're puffing, you're sweating. Eventually you get the tent torn down and it's ready for transport. It's going to take all of you to get the stuff back into town in less than like 5 trips. If you all pitch in, you'll do 1 trip.
Rolling this together.
Yeah. Roll me a perform, Echo. You can High School Musical your way out of this. I promise.
Alright, bet.
No. You're not a bard, so you can't do that. Anyway.
Damn.
Yes. So, Karia.
Yes.
You're a little too occupied, and you're a little too sweaty and out of breath, as well as the fact that you're still not feeling great after all that poison ran through your system. So you don't notice anything especially that stands out, and the tent itself is completely unmessed with. Eiko, much the same. You don't notice anything about the surrounding area or about the... There's no damage done to the tent. Siren, much the same. Mallory, the effects of your spells are still in effect.
What?
I said as in the see invisibility and the sense aura.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're still going. Mixed with the fact that you kind of already have an idea of what you're looking for. And you already have a sense of kind of what you're looking for, and with a roll that high, you, figuratively speaking, catch a whiff. Something has been here. Something is in this area, or has been in this area, passed through last night. But it didn't touch anything. All the lingering is in the air, in the soil. And it feels distinctly like malevolent will.
I see.
And it came through here, seems to have shred a path around the tent, and then returned back into the woods.
I would like to give Siren a glance and then move toward the direction of the woods.
Okay?
As Mallory looks at me, I'll go, "Oh, yes, that does make sense. Yes, I understand. Oh, well, that's surprising, actually, but it does entirely make sense. We should go," and I'll tell the others. Mallory got a whiff of something. We should follow him.
Right now. With
Yes.
all of our supplies.
Yes. I heard him. Didn't you?
You heard him? I didn't know. I didn't.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh,
Anyways, we should follow him.
Anyway.
off topic, but god damn it, Julie.
What?
What did
I'll show you guys after the game. God damn it.
I do?
What you just sent me.
Oh no.
Anyways, what does the forest tell me?
Right. So, a note here. The Inquisitor is going off on his own. Excellent. Elf, the forest speaks to you. And it has a lot to say.
It says "get the fuck out" is one of the more
Well-
prominent things, but yeah. Okay.
It says your lucky numbers are 16, 42, 18.
Son of a bitch. I didn't know.
Could I ask you all to mute yourselves for a second? Everybody except for Hollow.
Oh, okay. You mean deafen?
I mean, you don't have to deafen. But, part of me is tempted to have you guys all deafen so that this cannot be Hollow only. But I feel like you guys are pretty good at keeping things not meta. So I'm not going to force you all out and then bring you back in.
Alright, here I go.
So, Hollow. What is supposed to be a cursory spell that is just supposed to give whispers of the surrounding landscape to you. As you cast this and you see Mallory's head sort of whip around at something, he looks at Siren, nods at her, and then takes off into the woods going up the stream. You inquire with the essence of the land around you, trying to ask it what you're missing, what you're not thinking of. The creatures that frequent here, the landscape, what is to be found, where the paths are. And for a second, despite the hex you have protecting you against it, you feel very cold. The light around you dims, and for a second, and for a minute carrying on through that, it's like someone turned off the sun. All light recedes, drawing into a single point somewhere into the horizon. You're surrounded by a vision of dark, cold, bleak field. And a aching cold that pervades your very bones. It makes the blizzard that you all stumbled through earlier seem like child's play. The hypothermia that threatened you then feels like nothing compared to this. It's so deep it stabs into your heart, drains the energy from your marrow. It's the horrific kind of hypothermia, despair-inducing cold that you would only imagine being prevalent on the tallest mountain in the deepest chill of winter. Wind shears at your skin, dragging away moisture and heat. And from the north you feel, and you know it's the north because the land tells you so, there's a cacophony of bombarding whispers that hit you. That is north, and that is where something resides. Many somethings, but something big. Something pushing. Something bad. And then just a single whisper in your ear saying, "It wasn't always this cold here." And then the light comes back. The warmth returns to your bones. The hex is back, shielding you from the real cold. However real that was just now. and new information floods your mind. There's a few creatures that live in this area. There's the, according to the natural topography here, you've got a river that runs along. You can unmute yourselves now if you wish. So you have the river running along here. So obviously there's a supply of water and probably a spring or a mountain or something where that water stems from originally. You've got sparse bits of woodland. You've got large plains. You've got lots of hills. And there's several creatures that like to live in areas like this. You've got a lot of big predators that live here, especially if there's such a heavy cold and a constant wind here. You tend to have big prowling predators. The bullets were a constant. Wyverns tend to hang out around mountains, so it's a little weird that they're here, or that one was here. Might be evidence that there was something that displaced it from its natural habitat. You have creatures like ankhegs and frostworms and other things like that that populate Arctic and cold regions. But if you're thinking of intelligent species, goblins are adaptable. In fact, there's at least you know this, Holo, and what do you call it? And Flick would know this as well. There's a nation, a prairie nation, of goblinoids towards the east. So like somewhere like in the mid east, it's a prairie nation. It's a very agricultural place, very free spirited, inhabited by a lot of hobgoblins, goblins, and bugbears, as well as many other people. Anybody who's willing to really take up a life there. They do quite well with themselves. They have a very unique form of governance among each other. They've adapted quite well to the life. They're probably one of the better examples of civilized goblinoids communities. But there's other groups that live further out, ones who are less amenable to that way of life, or simply never happened across the possibility. There's other semi-intelligent or fairly intelligent creatures that live this far out. There is the possibility of things like, if there is a spring of water, there could be Sahagan. That would require a large source of water or an underground spring or something like that. There's probably plenty of caves in the area, so that you might have things like... well, that's an ideal place for goblins to live as well. But you also have the possibility of troglodytes. It could be there's other creatures. There could be just tribes of... there could be bandits even. But there's a few possibilities. Of those that naturally live here, that's about the limit of it. Animals, about what you'd expect from this area. You have bears, you have wolves, you have moose, you have caribou and bucks and other things like that. Caribou and deer. You have smaller things like foxes and hares and yeah, that pretty much what. That's about the extent of it.
I sent you a message real quick. Just wanted to get some clarification for that.
No.
Okay. Then in that case, who's all with Hola still? Because I know a few people went on ahead, right?
Well, it sounds like Mallory took off, and Siren meant to join him. But there was a bit of a... I kind of lost the track in that conversation between her and Karya.
Yeah, Mallory started going off into the forest, and Siren began following, and is just...
Yeah, I was going to have Karya follow as well. He was just gonna be like with literally all of the stuff, like our tent and everything. You just leave it here. Fine, fuck it. I literally just sure, okay, fine, it's fine, and he's just gonna drop it and then start following.
Mhm.
We'll
Mhm.
come back
So
for
you've got it
you.
all rolled up. You've got all the posts wrapped up in the tarpaulin, ready to be carried off, and you're just kind of waiting there for people to help you pick it up. And then Mallory takes off, and Siren's like, "We gotta go." You just go,
Yeah, I'll say,
"Fucking fine."
Fine. I
it's
hate
of
this
the
damn
essence.
tent.
Time
I'm
is of
sorry,
the
Karia,
essence.
but
You can come back for
we-
it.
I'm sorry, Karia, but it seems we need to go. Like,
I'm aware. It's fine. I'm gonna just kind of kick some snow on top of it so nobody takes it, and then I'm gonna leave.
Hmm.
I'll follow along.
A hasty attempt to camouflage it is made, and then you take off.
Mhm. Then in that case, if people were still there looking at Holo Holo, because typically Holo Holo probably has like a sort of his resting facial expressions damn near all the time.
Hmm.
But for the first time, probably since you've seen him, you can sort of get this expression of a very much primal fear on his face, in almost like damn near animalistic type of fear
There's
coming through.
yeah. It doesn't even take a sense motive check. There is a dread, a primal dread that just washes across his face as the color from his otherwise dusky complexion just drops and his skin turns ashen.
ooh.
You see bits of his body shiver, his fingers shake, his knees quiver a little bit before it quickly passes, and what looks to be his eyes that were staring off into a middle distance return back to focus. Yeah.
After which he will sort of shake himself a bit and just be like, what are we doing now?
I think the only person left is Eiko.
Yeah, and well,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. So she just looks to the side, I guess you could say.
I, I pretty much, I guess I goes there at this point. It just kind of stands as everyone goes. Just kind of stands there, puts her hand to her head, and goes, and said to herself, basically goes, "What are we getting ourselves into this time?" Then Hollow speaks up like, "Oh, it looks like we're on an adventure again. Come along." As she goes off.
Yeah, sure. Are my capybaras nearby?
Of course, they're always in close proximity to you.
Okay, I'm gonna look, just look down at um Lolo, and I'm just gonna say, "Well, you're an animal. Could you do me a favor and look around, potentially find any tracks and try to retrieve some information for me?"
There's actually a look of worry on Lolo's face. When you look down to them, there's a look of obvious worry. Nobody else would be able to see it. You can, seeing as this is your familiar and your magical mentor.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's funny because you otherwise suck at reading people in general, but in your familiar's case, it's an intuitive understanding, and not so much about facial, we call it facial tells or body language, so much as there's an empathic understanding between the two of you. Lola's worried because more than likely they got something over the connection, the same way you're getting something now.
That also does fit in since when they're both together, they also benefit from the alertness feat.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it would make sense if those two were able to.
Yeah, if you had a shock of danger sense, so to speak, then Lolo would have felt it as well.
Yeah, after saying that, Holo Holo will pick himself up from the ground after kneeling. Then they'll talk to his capybaras and sort of scamper on towards the others.
Okay, and Lolo will acknowledge your request and start digging around in the snow nearby, looking for things. I'll roll something in the background. Okay. Mallory, followed by Siren, then Karya, then Eiko, and then Holo Holo. begin making their way off. Mallory is following the trail of a feeling.
Go down a feeling.
I was just about to say that.
He's hooked on a feeling, you could say. Hey, nice. Sorry, I'm smiling a bit right now. So, Mallory, the feeling grabs hold of you. Obviously, you were immediately hooked with an intense need to pursue. You are, after all, a hunter. You are an aristocrat. You are a trained logistician. You are a man of culture, a man of means, and a man of education and poise. But you are also a hunter. You hunt men as well as beast. Right now, you may be hunting a combination of both. And, of course, the game demands that a trail be pursued when it is still fresh, or else you may lose the hunt entirely. And so you follow this trail, this feeling of maliciousness, this ruthlessness, this inimicably nasty feeling. Something you felt before. This is something you've been surrounded with before. And so you are pulled as well as find yourself pushing towards this feeling. It leads you thoroughly up the riverbed. Sometimes it breaks through the trees, but often it finds itself stopping at the water. May I have a survival?
Yes, and in addition to that, I'm gonna make whatever this thing I'm tracking is my chosen victim. I'm gonna shit on him.
Okay.
And that is this feature, because I realized under the spellcasting table, it said that it was an execution domain, and none of the execution things were put in the sheet, so I added that. It was just one thing. It was this thing.
Gotcha.
And I don't know why it's rolling, but this is it. And let's see, +2 bonus. Yes, +2 bonus.
So you designate the thing you're tracking as your chosen victim for the day.
Mm-hmm.
You want to find this thing come hell or high water, and then you're going to put a blade to it, get as much information as you can out of it.
Yes. And that will, let's see, where's survival? There we go. And I'll put a +2 in there as well, and then I roll a 19.
Okay. You keep an eye out for some of these signs that you were looking for before, whether that's like a scantness of flint on the riverbed, tracks in the snow, maybe bits of bark stripped away on the sides of trees. Sometimes can be confused with the marks that boars leave behind when they sharpen their tusks. Boars, however, don't tend to sharpen their tusks at about head height or shoulder height. Usually it tends to be around shin height. And as you get further into the woods, you start to see more and more evidence. You spot evidence like this. You find still no footprints, which is the most perplexing part of this, perhaps. Well, we'll see. That's for you to judge. You find no footprints, but here and there you find bits of flint, patches in the riverbed where mud has been dug up, and where rocks have been cast to the side. There's areas where, at about stomach or chest height for you, branches have been stripped off the pine trees here. Bits of bark have been shaved away, stripped. Pine cones have been pulled off of branches. Berry bushes have been stripped, with only some of the deepest or lowest hanging berries untouched. The further you get along this area, the more trace of activity there is, and also there's more volume of these traces.
Keep an eye out for danger.
Yeah, the traffic through this area has been constant, or at least consistent. And it's not just one or two creatures. You may be dealing with a whole tribe. And whoever this tribe is, they've got access to a shaman or a druid or something that allows them to cover their footprints in mass. And then the trail goes cold. Until all you're doing is you're standing looking at a massive oak tree. Old oak tree. Stands high. It's got chips in its bark. It's got what looks to be where flint knives have been rubbed into the bark in an attempt to sharpen them. You've got the sap weeping out and having dried after a time or frozen. As well as actual evidence of footprints here, presumably before the pass without trace magic had been enacted. A uncustomary slip-up, sloppiness. But it all gathers around this tree, and then no further evidence. No more tricks, no more tracks, no more traces. The trail stops here.
Sorry, I had to dip there for a second. I take it everyone is still looking around.
Well, Mallory has just stopped in his tracks, now staring at a large oak tree, and presumably everybody has stopped behind him. You're standing in a clearing where trees have been cleared out around this large oak, or at least it seems to have almost naturally formed that way. And there is a good amount of evidence of activity here.
Oh.
There's evidence of tool use, of scratching in the bark. Would anybody like to have a look around this area?
Actually, I think I might.
Okay.
Let me see how this works. Hold on.
I'll also have a look around.
I will as well, but I'll try to do it stealthily.
Can I use the I'm gonna say cantrip because that's what I know them as. I forget what they're actually called. Detect magic.
I think that is a cantrip for you.
It is, but are they called cantrips in this?
Yeah, they're called cantrips in this. If you're a divine,
Actually, it depends on your class.
If you're a divine caster, they're called orisons.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, you're an arcane caster though, so you have cantrips.
I would just kind of find as the science terms go, fuck around and find out.
Okay, that is in fact how the scientific method goes.
Is there anything I could roll to help?
You most certainly, all of you could do perception if you want to have a look around.
Yeah.
We've gone from tracking to looking. Rip.
I mean,
I got the inverse of Way's roll.
Yeah. Siren stole my roll. Damn. Give it back. That was mine.
It's mine now.
I'd like to
Yeah.
opt to double it and give it to somebody else. No, okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah,
I
I
would
can't
ask-
roll at this current juncture, but I would like to go ahead and go for a. Would survival be applicable here at any sense
looking
to
for
maybe hunt down?
Survival is useful for things like finding tracks and stuff
Yeah,
like
well,
that. So
we've already confirmed that they've cut off here. Yeah.
you can still use it to look
Okay. Yeah. I guess.
for passage of animals and creatures here.
Hold on.
Actually, that's something I'd like to do. I'd actually like to look for an absence of just like natural disturbances. Maybe there's something
Okay.
concealing it. Maybe I could find a place that is seemingly completely untouched and like too pristine, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So what you're trying to say is it's quiet, too quiet.
And literally, I was where there's no nature here, but clearly there's a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Would someone be able to make that roll for me? I'm currently trying to get the Fravy to bed.
What
I can
role?
do that. That's
It'd be
survival.
survival.
Okay, yeah,
1
Randy
second.
can do that.
I can do that. So that's Holo Holo, that's Siren, and that's Karia. Echo and Mallory.
So the tracks all end right at the oak tree.
There's still some that are around the oak tree. But yes, this is where it ends.
And my detection thing is also just shot. It's done.
Well, there is a cloud of that feeling hanging around this tree. It's not coming from the tree, but it's sort of in the air around it.
I see. I will cast Sift on the tree.
Interesting.
Let's see. This and here. And then I will just, if that's fine, I'll just make that perception roll with that modifier.
I forgot. I got another cantrip that I didn't pick out. So doing that right now. Hee.
Sift is an interesting orison. It's technically supposed to allow you to examine things at a distance without having to go up and touch them. For the price of a small penalty, or not so small. This is how you would like inspect floors and doors and chests for traps without actually setting them off with your hand. But yes, you can absolutely do this. You can
Mallory
make that perception.
is no messenger. You can't shoot Mallory in the mouth. Okay.
This looks like an
I
interesting
don't know.
spell.
I don't know how to wait, if I do like this, negative -5 on perception, if I put that in there. Yeah, okay, that works. Alright. A 23.
23. Nice.
Very nice.
And next,
I've been rolling so well, it's scary.
and now, Eiko, how would you like to go about this? You have thrown on detect magic, but would you like to pair that with a roll?
Do I have to roll?
I mean, if you want to, it would possibly help enhance it, because being able to detect magic is all well and good, but you gotta be also be able to look at stuff.
So it's a perception check, right?
Yes.
Oh boy, I'm calling on that one. Oh.
No, Pebby's got you covered there.
Ah, right. Thanks.
Maybe seeing colors.
Get down, Mr. President. Takes the
Peppy
apple.
here is cold.
Thank you, Preppy. You're my
Yeah.
hero.
Hello. So Hollow, you're possibly still a bit shaken by that whole spiritual experience there. Slightly out of body. Slightly disturbing.
Yeah.
So it could be forgiven that you're not paying too much attention to all of this, especially after racing through the woods after that blonde madman. You take a quick look around the clearing, but what you saw keeps running through your head. It's quickly replaces any sort of information that you're able to even just glean from being here. it occupies the short-term memory and fights for occupancy there, and doesn't allow much else to take it will take up room, I should say. So you're having a little bit of an issue paying attention, let alone memorizing any of the stuff that you're finding. And possibly even just numbly walking around the clearing a bit before your head clears.
Yeah.
Oh.
Suddenly, the thing that whole scared roll initiative. Those scared roll appears roll initiative.
Zirin,
Mm.
you check around the area here, looking out for danger in particular. And yeah, you don't see a hell of a lot. There's no birds in the area. You can hear bird song in the distance, so it's not like you're about to get ambushed or anything, or you are. The birds at least don't know. You also don't spot much wildlife out, but you assume they're just avoiding you guys. Or you could assume they're just avoiding you. You do, while you're walking around here, feel your foot bump up against something. And using your foot to clear away some of the snow, you see evidence of an old campfire. You see snow once it's brushed out of the way. You see charcoal, smothered embers, stones laid in a loose ring. And for not for Karya, for Aiko and for Siren, that's much like you both find much the same when you're at least checking around the area here. You sweeping the area and moving some of the snow aside. It's very evident that this place has had several campfires lit, small ones, sort of scattered about. Additionally, you find more flint. You find splintered branches, bits of wood, and shards and pieces of flint, obviously chipped and formed. Someone has been doing some tool crafting and maintenance in this area. And as the snow is being moved out of the way, more and more of you start to see the footprints that lie underneath. There's a lot of them. A lot of them. The ground here has been trampled in before the snow fell, and has been frozen in that shape.
Do I see anything of significance if I look up into the leaf bed of the oak tree, like up into the branches?
No. By all appearances, this is just a big oak tree.
Can I, like, graze my hand against it? Like, it's physically there, right?
The tree, yes.
Yeah, okay.
You can lean up against the tree, you put your hand against it, it's physically there.
I hate to ask this, but can I push it over?
Oh,
Oh my god.
this is a huge oak tree. You can't even hug this thing. You can't even get your arms
Okay, so
around
it's
it.
not. I see.
Oh,
Worth
here's
a
an
shot.
idea. If I...
You and your obsession
really
with ripping
surrounded-
trees out of the ground. My god.
Question:
here's
are
an
there any
idea.
trees nearby?
They are in. You're in a clearing right now, so there is there's a tree line around you, and then you have the big tree in the middle.
In the middle, you say.
Speaking of the tree in the middle, if I press my ear against it, do I, like, hear anything? Like, is it hollow?
May I have another perception?
Yes. Come on, student. Ah,
You hear
I see.
you hear a vague sound, almost like running water.
I'll look over at, say, I'll look over at anyone who is done with their roles and their investigating, and I'll motion them over to see if anyone else can come hear something better than Siren could.
Can I do perception as well? Can I come over and be like, I guess can I roll to hear the tree? Wait a minute, hold on.
Listen to the
Where is-
tree.
Wait, hold on. Hey Ray. Hey Rami. Got a very important question.
What's up?
Look at you, DM.
Interesting.
What happened? What happened?
Would you like to try and test that somehow?
Well, in which ways would I be able to do this?
Well, what other way is there?
Well, I've checked magically. It's not that.
You could put your ear to it and then knock it and see if it's hollow. Alternatively, you could take an axe or one of the sickles and we could start shredding the tree.
I was thinking about lighting it on fire, but upon this information, I've realized. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking, Randy. That's what I was thinking.
if we're coming in with the intent of nothing but violence, potentially burning down this tree may be
thought
a
about
good
that.
idea. However,
Yeah, hold on.
I
No,
don't
hold
want
on.
that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, first things first. I like to do perception to hear inside the tree like Siren has done. First things first. I'm gonna do that. Can we do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
before we get to that,
Karya?
oh boy.
The thing is, this isn't like a tribe, like a little band of gremlins or something. It's a tribe, like it's a whole. You know what I mean?
Can we wait a moment? I ask as I put my ear to this.
You, much like Siren, you hear the sound of rushing water, or moving water, I should say. Before we get to that, I'm going to finalize on some previous rolls to avoid ignoring that. Karya, you're looking for any conspicuous absence of natural trails and tracks and evidence and such. And weirdly enough, it seems like there's old tracks here. Old tracks. That, from what you can tell, were frozen into the ground. And then perpetually held that way. It seems like the ground here has been frozen for a while.
So either nothing has come through here since, or someone is perpetually keeping it this frozen.
Well,
and
from what
not
you
letting.
can tell, this was and possibly still is a frequented spot for wildlife. There's grass that was grazed upon. There's hoof prints. There's paw prints. There's evidence of brushing up against the trees, bits of fur, pieces of bark stripped away, droppings. And it could be that there were animals congregating around here before you guys got here, and then they vacated. It could be. So this was apparently, this glade, this clearing, was perhaps once upon a time a popular congregation spot for animals. In recent time, however, it seems like that is no longer the case.
Interesting.
It's not that they're repelled. It's just it seems like
they're much less willing to be this way,
or there's less reason for them to be here. Because you don't find anything that's particularly repellent. But if whatever was attracting them here was present when the place was less frozen, or when it was not so cold, perhaps that is no longer present now that it has gotten this cold.
That makes sense. Well, Seems like our only lead then is the tree. Actually,
And,
wait a minute.
I
You
think
said that there was a. I'm sorry, Jules, or Sam,
you're
not
good.
to cut you off, but the camp. It was just a campfire. There was nothing
There were
aside
little.
from like all the hordes of footprints. There was nothing like actually physical left behind.
Well, no, under the snow there was lots of footprints and hoof prints and paw prints, as well as what looks to be the remnants of campfires, bits and pieces of wood and flint splintered apart. So it seems like there's been activity here, some more recent than others.
Okay, so it is more. Okay, I had to get my head around that. All right, Sam, go forward, or Aiko rather. You can go forward with what you're doing, and then I suppose I'll make my way to the big tree, but I'll wait.
And
So,
right before you do that,
I guess ready.
right
Yeah, I would say yeah.
before that, Mallory was examining the tree with Sift. Going over you try to find if there's any sort of evidence on the surface of or in the up the tree. Anything nefarious or anything not natural, perhaps? Who knows? To your best approximation, this, well, besides being a large specimen of a oak tree, sat out here in the middle of a conspicuously empty clearing, is, well, you're no arborist or anything, but this seems like a pretty impressive and healthy specimen of a tree. There's no presence of parasites. There's no squirrels crawling along it. There's no woodpecker like drilling holes in it. There's no ants. There's also nothing hidden about it. It's just an oak tree. Big. It's also healthy and no parasites or anything. That's about it. It's
Wait a minute, I just realized
Hmm?
we're in a icy like forest. The trees around us, are they bare of leaves?
there's plenty of pine trees. So there's plenty of
I
ones
see.
that do not have their leaves shed.
This is an oak tree, however.
Yes.
Does it have leaves?
No. It has a few wilted
Oh,
leaves
that is a
hanging from the
really good.
branches.
Though
But
that is a really good point that we're in an area that is notoriously cold. Um, it's
Also,
kind of weird to have an
yeah.
oak tree out here. That doesn't make much sense at all. So this is probably fake.
And there was the sound of rushing water inside. Is there, like, in this clearing, is there water? Like a stream?
That's another thing. Is there another
it's
thing too? Is there
kind.
running water or
It
is it
sounds.
frozen?
It sounds like moving water, not rushing water, but moving water.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't sound like naturally rushing water.
But you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
To say, yeah, I don't think you can tell.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna say if we could follow like the riverbed to like a pipe system or something.
well, that was my question. The riverbed is. The river itself. It's frozen, isn't it?
Underground water aquifers exist, my fellows.
But also,
No.
I mean,
I know that.
rivers can freeze on the surface and then still have running water beneath.
Yeah, but with how frigidly cold it is that the case?
Depends. Running water is much harder to freeze, and ice on top tends to insulate it and stops the bottom from freezing. So unless it froze through thoroughly or spent a very long time being cold, it wouldn't have been frozen solid. Yes. And you do know, at least from where you were down at the river, that the water there was at least the river was at least running down that way.
Yeah. Okay, what if I put my ear to the ground next to the tree?
Hmm.
You can do that. Siren, would you like to throw me a knowledge nature if you have it?
Yes. Oh, I do not have knowledge nature actually.
Well, in that case, that won't help you very much. Oh well.
Right.
Yeah, this is
So.
funnier anyway. You may give me a perception if you put your ear to the ground.
Yes. Do I hear the voices of the gods?
Kill them all.
What? Dad?
It is me, daughter.
You hear cold. Your ear is getting very, very numb.
Oh. I will stand back up and rub my ear.
Do you need me to do that for you?
Is it
Yes,
like-
that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Excuse me. I've had a sudden idea. May I try something real quick?
So,
Yes.
So, just in case, may everyone back up, please? If nothing bad will happen from this, if I'm wrong, I'll look silly. If I'm right, I've solved our problem. Or gotten us closer.
Oh, all right.
Very well.
I'll back up.
Hold on. Alright. I would like to speak in another language and say, what do I say? I like to say in another language, hello, Arbor Father?
Wood
And
father.
Are you
And
trying to talk to the tree right now?
she speaks
Yeah.
to the trees.
I am.
What did the tree say?
I don't know, what does the tree say,
She
Randy?
speaks for the trees.
They
Oh
say that
no.
Hollow Hollow is an idiot. I'm kidding.
Did the tree say anything to me? I'm scared.
Hmm.
This is ridiculous.
Mystery said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I am asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. What's the thing you made out of my truffula tuft? Anyway, that little joke aside.
Oh god.
Does the tree say anything?
What did the tree say? The tree say to shut the fuck up.
The tree says nothing.
I see.
Graham,
Kieran just
Then
looks at Chico and chuckles.
hold on. Let me think of something else real quick.
Oh
Well,
boy. Okay.
What? Oh no. Did he... Guys. He rolled
Let me
on
see
something
where all the good luck went.
Yeah.
Or the bad luck, I should say. Yeah. You speak to the trees, and the trees aren't very talkative.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess I'll turn to my compatriots and go. Well, there was my thought. I thought perchance it was a treant. Silly me.
It was worth a shot.
You what?
Well, I think it's time to make the decision, guys. We've listened, we've spoken, we've touched, and at this point, before we taste it, I think we have to decide. I'm going to intimidate the tree. No, I'm kidding. No.
Please.
God.
Yes.
As we
Alright,
decide
burn-
what to do, I'm gonna
I'll
just
burn
look
down the whole
behind
fucking
us.
forest. Well, while you guys do that, I would like to. Can I act on the other piece of information that I've gotten, or is that a no-no?
I mean, sure.
In times like these, I asked myself, why am I even here?
In times like these, who needs anemones?
Oh,
I'm gonna be dead ass with you. I'm gonna think it's even more funny if this is just some fucking tree.
It is the red herring.
it is. All right.
big hugs.
Also, I want to just look behind us and keep an eye on the other trees in the clearing to see if we're not
Wait, guys,
Yeah.
I know what I must do.
inspired.
Open sesame.
That's me.
Well, I've got nothing.
Um, get, I like to, as everyone's doing that, we'll take another glance at the tree roots, at the tree, and look at the roots, and just kind of kneel down and start doing a little bit of digging, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that's the best way just to do that. At risk of, she doesn't want to say anything else because she already feels like she's made a fool of herself.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tree. It wasn't. So he's gonna save any more embarrassment.
Can I have one more perception from you?
Sure.
Yes, one good.
Please give me another. I'm just gonna get another than that one.
Hey,
Well,
that's not so
okay.
bad.
And
So,
I'll let you go first.
yeah. So, Eiko, you dig a little bit at the tree roots, and following your vision and your instincts, you dig down between the roots, and you find something. Another little pebble. This time with a different marking etched onto it.
oh. Oh, first things first. Can I cast without removing the rock at all? Just looking at it. Can I cast cantrip read magic?
You may. Now, remember what I told you guys about that pebble you found back during the illusion?
Vaguely.
Yes,
That
it's that
pebble.
path.
That you could read the magic, but you could not read the language on it. This one still has
Kind of
magic.
read the language.
Yeah, that was with a linguistics roll. In this case, it is with the magic is still active on this one, so you're actually able to read the magic a little bit into this. The script tells you something of step. Step.
Misty step.
Or pass without. No, well, no, it would be more than that.
Step.
It's beginning to sound a lot like elves.
What do I need to do to look more into this magic?
Knowledge
I know
Arcana.
I've cast Knowledge Arcana. Alrighty. Actually trained in that. Yippee! God damn it.
There are some ideas that could come close, but you don't know.
May
Well, I like
take a
to
look
stand
at it
up.
and-
Yeah, I like to stand up and say, everyone, I found another magic rock.
Eiko,
Oh,
as you stand up in your,
Oh,
do you
no.
dig the pebble out, or?
No, I leave it.
Okay. As you stand up and look up, as you stand to your full height, I am bite size. I am very huggable, and I will squish all of you. Anyway, as you stand up to your full height, you are now face to face, inches away from a pallid blue face, just right up in yours.
Hello?
In your face, half emerged out of the tree,
What
is
the
a
fuck?
thin, sickly blue. And when I say thin, I mean rail thin. I mean anorexic. Bare naked individual with wisps of withered, long black hair trailing about her body. In this case, it sort of clings to her shoulders. Some of it runs down her fingers, stuck on with, or even frozen to it, and she is half out of the tree, her upper body. One is like clinging to the bark, the other one is draped across her chest as she, with eyes like a mooncalf, wide open, huge pupils, is gazing into your eyes, almost like an owl caught in the high beams.
I've already got
Do I
my
know
mouth
what this? Do I know what this is?
Knowledge nature. In the meantime,
Can we all know that?
it whispers. I mean, you could. Yes, all of you could. It whispers
not
to you in a
trained.
language you recognize.
Oh, what does it say?
Who are you,
What language is that?
Sylvan?
Okay, so can you, I'm not trained in knowledge of nature, so I can't use it, right?
You can. You can only get as much information as if you had rolled a 10, though.
Quick question: has it been 4 minutes,
God.
40 minutes yet?
I'd say so.
Because the reason I was asking is I was wondering if I still had Whispering Lore active. It actually has a pretty decent duration, all things considered.
I'd say it's been more than 3 or 4 minutes.
No, 40.
40.
40.
Oh yeah, no, it'd still be
Hey,
active.
I'm trained in that, and I got a 22.
Cool.
How dare you,
Well,
Car-
Now, you have no points in knowledge nature.
I have none.
And
Damn, that's
Damn.
unfortunate. Unfortunate. Okay.
Now Serena
Damn.
needs you to roll a 20.
I'm not trained in nature.
Roll it!
I would only have like a 10.
Aiko
on
rolled it
rolls.
anyway.
Actually,
Hey,
do
I
have
rolled it
points in
anyways.
I have 3 points in nature.
You do. In that case, you're trained.
Oh, I thought I wasn't trained in it because it doesn't
It's
have
a
check
it's
mark
a
next to
class
it.
skill
Yeah.
if it has a check mark.
Oh.
That means you get that +3 bonus.
Oh well, that's a 16.
Okay. Siren, you immediately come to realize that this is a nature spirit of some sort, more presumably, perhaps. Unless that is a very advanced-looking humanoid parasite. Aiko, seeing as you can only roll a 10, this sounds a lot like some stories you've heard. Mallory, Holo, and Karia, you immediately recognize, oh my god, that is one sick-looking dryad.
Oh.
Well, since I don't know what's going on, I would like to. Can you communicate? Can I? Who are
You see, so her hands are long and spindly. Her limbs look semi-blackened as if by frostbite, in an imitation of gnarled, winter-sickened tree branches. What would her form, which would otherwise be decorated by lush leaves or autumn plumage, are instead bare and scratched and sick looking. Her stomach is concave, her eyes are sunken and bug eyed, her pupils are dilated, and she it just caused the hollowing of her sockets to be all the more obvious. Her hair is thin and wispy and clings to her body in frozen patches. Her shoulders are emaciated, and you can see ligaments and the bones poking up through the skin. Her rib cage is visible. She looks emaciated, cold, and very sick. That is, if she were a human or an elf.
Yeah.
You still
Well,
see
even
the
then-
telltale long tapered ears now looking as if they've been frostbitten.
Yeah, I was about to say, even then, she's definitely not doing well. Kari would. Oh wait, I don't know speak Sylvan.
Who here speaks Sylvan? If anyone, I guess. Well, yeah, I guess I guess I really
closest-
can't. I can't ask that, can I?
The closest
Well,
I have.
absolutely could. That,
I have Elven.
Am I, well,
That's not the same.
well, first things first. I'm able to I'm able to see that this I don't know if it's a dryad, but I'm able to see that this creature is very ill, right? I'm able to at least just understand that much.
Mm-hmm. Or
Oh,
you're able to approximate that if this thing follows basic humanoid biology, she looks half dead.
well, immediately I like to say in Sylvan, oh my, what's my name's Aiko. What's wrong? As sudden fear is, well, I guess fear for myself is now changed into fear for whatever the creature is, because Aiko's a nice person.
Hmm. Aiko continues to speak to it into language. I assume. Well, it sounds like nobody else here speaks.
The closest I can offer is Elvish.
Yeah, no. It
Yay.
sounds similar, but only in the same way that like Italian sounds similar to Latin.
Oh.
It's much like Elven did branch off from Sylvan, but it's not even to say that Sylvan is an old version of Elvish. It is a different language entirely, with some similarities here and there. Latin inspired the Romance languages and all that. So, Aiko, being one of the few people here in the clearing who doesn't know what this thing is, but only being one of the only people able to communicate with it, shows it compassion. And when Aiko, could I get a diplomacy from you to see what kind of impression you make on this?
I'm
Naiad?
so scared to roll.
Poor,
okay.
poor
You're
person.
I'm
Poor fox.
okay.
That's not bad.
19 ain't bad.
I
You-
rolled a 7.
On instinct, you take a step forward, alarmed by the shape that this creature is in, and the shaky, painful voice that she speaks in. Like her voice, her throat is cracked glass that she has to endure speaking through. She recoils at first, but when you take a step forward, and there's tenderness obvious in your body language and in your voice, something that she clearly isn't accustomed to. And she obviously is apprehensive at first. But when you approach her and you speak to her, she's doesn't really have much further to go. She withdraws into the tree a little bit. You see that she disappears to everything except for her neck and head, but then slowly eases out again. Coax her and ask her about her condition. There's a
Can I turn?
Hmm?
Can I turn around to Theron and go, um, can you cast healing magic on her? She looks ill. She looks very, very ill.
I will, from my position, take one step forward and say to this creature, who I think is a nature spirit, because I don't know any better, and I can't speak Sylvan, so I'll just look at Aiko and say, tell her that I can provide healing if she requires. Uh, we're willing to help it.
To all appearances, to you, Siren, this looks like a very sick elf that's like halfway into a tree. It's an odd image.
Right. So I'll say, yeah, she does look quite ill, actually. I'm surprised that she's still well enough to slide herself out of a tree. Um, like I've said before, I can offer healing if she requires. Um, I don't know what this is, Aiko.
I don't. I don't know either. I don't know what this is either, but that hardly matters right now. Oops.
That's
Kara
fair.
will kind of poke in and explain it's a dryad, albeit a very sick one.
But then,
Um,
well, oh, well, you go, Siren.
Hearing Karya say that, she'll say, are they usually dangerous or hostile creatures?
No, but they can be if provoked. Though I wouldn't necessarily call them a creature, as they're very sentient.
Yes, that's what I just meant living creature, a being,
I
if you will.
I
Well,
understand.
What do they normally eat? Do you know?
I would say, Echo, now that you've been elucidated, this is in fact a dryad. This is something of, particularly for you, of some significance considering your homeland. Um, Dryads there are venerated. They are not worshipped, but they are key figure stones, or like we call it, or pillars in the various communities, specifically in the southern Elvish communities. Uh, you know the stories of how dryads and their ship trees were what bore the Elvish people across the ocean to the Titan's Arm, where they then settled and intermingled, where they became harmonious with the spirits of the Titan's Arm and brokered a peace and eventually a thriving partnership with the humans that lived there. And even to this day, some of the dryads that were around during that first colonization live in the massive trees that sprouted from the ships that beached themselves ashore. And even now, new dryads, when they are born, sometimes set off with their own trees, adrift on the ocean. Massive tree ships that the elves are famous for. This is definitely not like the dryads you've seen and heard of. This is downright sad in comparison.
Damn.
Oh.
Well, I guess I'll go. Oh, the dryad. Well, she'll turn back to the dryad and go. Suddenly, her tone kind of changes. It'll go from a to might be harder to tell with different language, but more formal. And go Miss Dryad, what what ails you so?
Miss
I guess
Dryad. I like that.
Lady Dryad.
Lady Dryad. That's like, excuse me,
Dryaad
Mr.
the Sun.
Teacher. Yeah.
Mother,
Dryad
fine,
senpai.
Mother Nature, how's it going?
So you inquire into the dryad what exactly is wrong with it, and also passing along that Siren wishes to heal it.
I have friends here who can heal.
Her eyes, wide as dinner plates, scrutinize you and the rest of the group, as if she's waiting for literally anything to spring out from any blind angle and out of her periphery. Going by her jumpy nature, it's probably something that's happened a few times.
Am I able to like identify this and like see? Am I able to read that she's a very looking for something, essentially an ambush?
I'd say sense
Like
motive would be
sense
would be suitable.
Right, let's see. Sense motive. Where are you? There you are.
Lovely. So, yes, it's very apparent that she's jumpy, paranoid, scared of her own shadow, almost. Perhaps if it wasn't for the curiosity which you had sparked in her, she may not have left her tree at all while you guys were here.
Something's wrong. As I realize this, something's wrong. She's very spooked. Something here. Something near is. She's waiting for something, an ambush maybe. Like something's toying with her. Something's not right here. Pretty much.
Uh,
Uh,
In a whisper, like frozen needles clinking like wind chimes. In a voice that wisps and is almost taken away by the breeze, she says, "Small man, come, step through my tree. They tear up the roots, eat everything, they kill the animals, rip my bark, fill me with disease and poison. And this stone," she halfway out of the tree, one hand propped against the bark, the other one pointing at the rune stone planted in the dirt between the roots. "Whenever they walk through me, I scream. I feel like ice underfoot being shattered by boots."
Freeze dried.
Can I? You know what? Upon hearing that, no, I don't. I don't think. I don't. Aiko doesn't think. She upon hearing that, she looks angry. She looks angry. Looks down, grabs that rock, with no repercussions. Doesn't not care in the world, and fucking chucks it. To roll for that.
Can
What series of rolls do I have to chuck for to
I think
chuck
you
a
just
that?
will
rock?
save.
Yeah, it'd be a will save.
Oh, where's my sheet so small all of a sudden?
So is Zyko like attempting to dispel the?
No,
In a
he's
way.
literally
No,
In a
just
way.
Aiko's literally
wait.
just yeah,
In a
in a
way.
weird way.
This is going to be a force of will.
Mm-hmm.
16, baby.
Okay.
Oh,
You
hmm.
wrap your fingers around the stone, and in a fit of righteous anger, pull. And for a second, you see what you think is almost spectral string that is trying to root it in place and stop you from taking it. Baring your teeth, which for a moment seem a little sharper to those around you than normal. You plant your feet, you pull, and you yank that thing out of the dirt. You're now holding a small stone engraved with a rune.
Out of with adrenaline coursing through the veins. Um, uh, I'm not gonna toss it quite yet. So she'll hold the rock in her hand very hard and slowly calm down or quickly calm down. Turn to the dryad and go. I'm sorry if that hurt you, but I think if this rock was there more, it would hurt you a lot more.
You can see the dryad is breathing a little deeply, but she seems almost in awe that you're holding that rock at the moment. And she shakes her head and says, "In all the long dark, you are the only one who's been able to help me."
Aiko, what's wrong?
um, seeing as she, saying as she was still a little bit tense after pulling that, she'll take another deep breath, relax a little bit more, and go. Take a deep breath. I'm very sorry about that. You have to all see that. This rock, she'll open her hand and show it off. Um, what I've been able to gather. What did she say earlier? Was it? I think you were a little too quiet. Or maybe that was on purpose. Swan men or what
In
type of men?
small men.
Small men. All right. Um, she said, small people, small men were using her to travel to and from, and then she pointed out that this rock was part of the cause. And well, where I'm from, dryads are very respected. And well, seeing that dryad in such a state and filled me with such anger. Um, I'm very sorry you'll have to see that again. This rock seems to be some sort of what I can only assume teleportation gate of some kind. Something that allows people to come to and from using Miss Dryad over here as a gateway.
Anybody that wants to make.
I was
Sorry, Kari, you were saying.
no, I was actually curious if I could make an Arcana roll because I think
Yes.
could this be tree stride in a
Go ahead and
weird
make the
way or
roll.
something? Yeah. Let's
I'll give you a
see.
circumstantial +2 because of the extra information in this.
Yeah. It would be knowledge Arcana. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Not great.
+2, 14.
14.
14 still wouldn't
Not
be
great
enough.
still.
If this is tree stride, you're not quite sure. This sounds similar.
I actually.
I will say anybody else that wants to try and attempt the roll may, because of the fresh information that Aiko is providing.
I don't think I can do it again, can I?
No,
I
you've
don't
already
think-
attempted it once. Yes,
Yeah.
knowledge arcana.
Actually.
Oh, man.
Oh, thank
Siren,
Lord.
this sounds exactly like tree stride. The only difference is tree stride is usually cast and then is either consumed or lasts for a while. This sounds like through the method of this stone that was implanted at the roots, allowed for a constant and on-demand and not to mention forceful tree stride. Because normally speaking, a dryad's tree cannot be strode through by another creature without its permission. This seems to circumvent that, and it sounds painful for the dryad. The way she described it, imagine somebody stepping through your skin both ways constantly.
I actually have a thing I'd like to do, but only after. I'm gonna hold, but I have a thing before we leave this scene that I want to do. So y'all keep going, but I've just realized something.
Okay.
What is it that you want to do, man?
Oh,
Siren,
Siren's internet has once more interceded and stopped her from being able to speak.
she went to have. I have a thing to say. Damn it.
Or Siren. Intermission? I mean, sure. Yeah, I think quick bio break. We got another like 45 minutes to an hour left in the session anyway. So yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
I am now going to rip and tear whatever small men hurt my dryad.
I actually am gonna need your help for what I have planned, Julian.
You know what? I'm all for it.
Okay.
You saw the kind-hearted little lady get
Hey,
angry.
Hey, Julian.
Hey, what?
Actually, I'm gonna tell you, but I keep on getting fucking tall.
Ooh, looks nice.
I'm guessing the will save was a 15.
Huh?
Was for rock to
Oh,
rock at him.
I won't say. You made
Alright,
it.
I'm back.
That's the most important bit. You made it.
Did we make it?
Fine.
Did we?
We're all gonna make it, brah. Also,
We're gonna make it, bro.
your L5R character looks good. It's
My voice.
definitely. Oh, you're back.
I'm back. Yeah, I was gonna leave to go to the bathroom, and then I saw it reconnected, and I was like, oh.
Hey. Yeah.
I guess I can say it then.
Go for it.
But yeah, with this new information that Siren discovered, she would say, "Oh, yes, that does make sense. Looking at this rune, I'm able to tell that allows for continuous use of the spell Tree Stride, which would circumvent the need for consent from the Dryad. And given her condition and her state, it seems very painful for her. It seems like whoever is using this to travel is doing so in a way that is very abusive to her. This should help her. At least I think we should.
This might sound rude of me, but I would like to. I was going to help this triad, whether I had you guys help me or not.
That's
but,
understandable.
I thought we bio-breaked. I left. I'm sorry. What did I
You're
miss?
good.
No,
Yeah,
June
exactly.
June managed to
That's what we
reconnect during the time when she was going to go and decided to deliver the exposition.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. What did I miss?
I basically
It's
just said,
free
yeah,
stride.
yeah, it's tree stride and she's being abused.
Okay.
So I rolled to kill him.
No.
Who?
Not her.
Well, actually,
Ooh.
Actually,
That said not her.
well, anyway, speaking about that, so we're not doing the bio break then, yeah?
I mean,
I
yeah,
say
you guys good to go for another like 40 minutes and then we'll call it?
okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Well, let's knock this out and get as much done as we can then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Siren has delivered the news. This is in fact some sort of anchored, forced, consistent, on-demand tree stride that goes through this tree. That is torture for the Dryad to endure. Because of how good that roll is, as much intricate spell weaving as it might, or just brute force as it might require to force a Dryad to allow you to use their tree. One thing that is the advantage to doing this, to your best approximation, is that a Dryad's tree would have the residual or the magic necessary to allow this to be done, as well as a Dryad's tree allows for much further travel than a normal tree does. Depending on, you know well enough from that roll as well, tree stride's distance depends on the type of tree you walk through and its magical attunement to nature. Dryad's tree goes very quickly and goes very far indeed. And it's also known that Dryads can tree stride through any tree to great distances. Their own tree, now also they can tree stride through any tree to reappear in their own home tree for practically any distance, so long as you're on the same continent.
I meant to ask, are dryads allowed to leave their tree? Can they walk, or are
They can for a
attack?
time. Like, as in, they exit their tree, yes. If they get too far away from their tree, they can grow sick, and both they and their tree will die if they're not careful.
Well, there is no way to basically uproot them into a place where they could be safer.
It could be. You could do that with a younger Dryad. With a tree like this, you'd be very hard pushed to try and get this tree alive somewhere else. Because if the tree dies, she dies. If she dies, the tree dies. Moving a massive oak like this without damaging either one is going to be a hell of a tall order.
Out of sheer curiosity, what happens if you were to take like a trimming basically and attempt to grow another tree? Would another dryad come?
It would have to grow big enough to be able to host a Dryad, and then a new
Well,
Dryad might be born.
No, I'm more so. Yeah, that's what I.
Dryads tend to be born from trees that grow large and old enough.
That makes sense. Anyways, if there's nothing else,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are dryads capable of affecting the nature around their tree?
Yes.
So, would her being sick like this make this entire area cold enough because she's suffering so much?
No, not to that extent. And
I see.
Dryads can affect their environment just as much as they are affected by their environment.
Okay, I see.
So the evidence that that Karia found of the Dryad previously affecting her environment was the sheer amount of animals that used to frequent around this area.
Yeah, makes sense.
But now this area is cold and frozen, and that quite presumably is what led to her looking like she is. Also, the fact that her bark and her, what is effectively her tree's flesh, is scored and rubbed and slashed and ground upon. And you can see along her ankles and her legs when she occasionally shows those as she sort of swims in and out of the bark here and there. There are what looks to be scars across her oaky and wooden flesh.
place my hands on the tree and cast Cure Light Wounds, that it would do anything?
You most certainly try.
I will go ahead and try. I'll look to her and then look to Aiko and say, I would like to ask permission to attempt to heal her tree and subsequently herself. As much as I can.
Aiko turns to the Dryad and says, my friend here gestures to Siren would like to cast a healing spell on you if that's alright. May she do it? I know, I can tell you're quite hesitant of us still, so I'm making sure it's alright with you first.
Her owlish eyes flick back and forth between Aiko and Siren. For a moment, she withdraws until even her mouth has receded into the bark, and all you can see is a ripple in the bark, and her forehead and her eyes poking out. The same gaunt, sunken, bug eyes. Now, one of the only things they can see before her head pokes out a little bit again, and then she gives a small nod.
Aiko will nod towards Siren and move out of the way slightly. I'm watching you, Siren.
Oh no.
Burning hands.
I like it. Like no. Burning hand.
So, Siren, you've been given permission.
And no mic, it looks like. Or
Uh-oh.
no audio.
God damn it.
It should. Sorry, go ahead.
He said, if you like to approach the tree and cast Cure Light Wounds.
Okay. You lay your hands upon the bark and let the healing magic flow. Cure Light Wounds doesn't do anything for scars. Doesn't do anything for old wounds that have healed over. Cure Light Wounds in particular doesn't do very much for those. Things like critical wounds might help reduce the amount of scarring. But Cure Light Wounds is for topical, recent injuries. That said, her complexion lightens a bit. It goes from the deep blue that it was before to something a little bit lighter. See what almost seems to be a flush of color come to her cheeks. The bark of the tree enriches a bit, goes from the ashy gray that it was to something a little more like light brown, and even see a few green leaves sprout on the branches, which immediately then turn brown and fall off, and her complexion goes dark blue again.
That's what I was worried about. Okay, well then that only doubles down what I was going to do. Okay.
Aiko will be confused and worried.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I thought it would work for good.
Well, Aiko puts a hand to her face. Holds her chin in her hands and goes. I'd lost what to do now. Oh.
The Dryad shakes her head a little bit and says, the long dark is ever clinging.
I have one thing to offer, but...
What is it?
I'm going to need your assistance to translate, please.
Tell me first.
I just wish to give her an option.
Tell me what that option is first, and I'll translate it as such.
If possible, I would like to speak with her personally, but she is clearly in a lot of pain, and I wish to offer her something.
Can you speak Sylvan?
No, which is why I need you. Kara would actually like to approach the Dryad. He'd put his weapon down at this point.
She's
I will
obviously
stand
wary
next-
of you. She recedes into the trunk a little bit as you approach.
Michael will be right next to him, looking at him. What is it you wish to say? Or offer?
Even though I'm... Kari at this point is going to take a knee, and even though Aiko is translating, he's going to look...
She's not translating yet.
Not
She wants your-
translating yet, I know. He's just going to talk to her. and you can decide to translate if you wish. For a moment, he's going to look over to Aiko and just kind of explain, I have been in a great deal of pain, and I understand what she's going through. So, I'm going to offer her the same thing that was offered to me a long time ago. And on his knee, he'll kind of look at the Dryad and try and be as calming as he possibly can. Very aware that his demeanor of being a giant, muscle-bound dragon man is not necessarily the most calming thing. But with his red eyes, he'll kind of look and kind of lay his hand out, in a sense, kind of offering it, ever so slightly. Kind of in like a gesture of, take my hand for a moment, but obviously she doesn't have to accept. As he begins talking, and he'll keep his somber demeanor as he looks at her and goes, there was a time very long ago where I had lost my right to life and my life to choice. My right of that was taken away. And you are hurting. And you have been hurting for a very long time. I don't know if there's anything we can do to help you, and I will not lie to you. That you may be in suffering for the remainder of your life. I intend to bring the people who harmed you to justice. But I want to offer you... I would be willing to make your death come now. If you don't wish to suffer anymore. If you just want it to be over, I will be a gentle hand to guide you to the next life, should you desire.
Upon hearing the word, hearing the offer, she'll get visibly angry for a moment before calming herself down and go, she'll get mad, calm down, and think about what to say to the Dryad.
I recall the Dryad saying that the dark or something of the dark was still too prevalent. Perhaps there is an alternative way to solve this?
There may be, but if
Hey,
you
Randall.
suffer long enough, you are more than willing to potentially see your end. To stop the suffering. I'm not here to take her life. I'm offering her mercy.
I understand. There's multiple ways to end
Hello,
suffering.
you were saying?
I was gonna ask, could I maybe put two and two together and kind of know what she's maybe talking about when she says that?
You you haven't heard her say that, and Chico didn't, or Echo didn't translate that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, she's speaking so. Never mind.
Oh, never mind. It was
Yeah.
translated. Never mind.
Yeah, I thought she translated.
Some
Never
things, Echo translated some things, but not about that bit.
Alright.
Yeah, that hasn't gone through yet. I would at that point, once I finished, look to Aiko and explain
Lost in translation.
if your people venerate these dryads and you honor them and respect them, then I only ask that you give her the choice to potentially accept it with a monicum of her own decision, and to keep her honor intact. If she refuses, I will not pressure, but I wish to give her this as a mercy.
Aiko will essentially walk around in a little circle, going pretty much going through things in her own head. Like, you ever seen how like some people when say are in a difficult situation, they'll like go around in a circle, like do like
Pacing,
yeah, they'll pace around. She'll pace around in a circle for a minute. Go going through.
The dryad actually looks at you while you're doing this, and she'll cock her head and why the strife with your kindred?
On hearing that, she'll snap out of it and go. She'll take a deep breath and go. He's right. He's right. I shouldn't try to deny this. Now, my compatriot here, he gestures towards Karya. He's been through pain as well. And basically, what he said is he himself has been through pain, and while he's lived through it himself, he's offering something to you that he wished was offered to himself. She'll take a deep breath and sigh again. He's offered you that. If you so wish it, he will offer you a quick and painless death if you so choose. He is not forcing it. He will not do anything if you say no. He is simply seeing you in pain, struggling, and is offering something that he wished he had while in a similar situation as yourself.
The dryad, as you're starting to come to know, she doesn't blink, but she does seem to pull back a bit as she hears this. And for the first time, she fully steps out of the tree. In comparison to all of you, she's practically child-sized. For a tree this large, a dryad this small, she must truly be in terrible health. She has none of the blinding allure or beauty they're so famous for. She has none of the characteristics, none of the arboreal features. She is a hollow, sickly, thin waif of a child to all of you. But despite the disparity between her and all of you, you glowing examples of humanoid health, for the first time you see a rigidity like the core of an oak tree reside in her spine as she looks Karya in the eye, as she speaks the same way that he did, looking her in the eye, speaking through you. She says, "Nature does not stop. Nature does not give up. I will die when the soil takes me. You did not die. Did not go. I don't know why, but you're not gone. You weren't meant to go. Something changed it. And now you are all here. And you can change what's happening to me. You can make this different. Life is pain. Pain is not new. Even pain this great is something I can live with. What I cannot live with is the long dark clawing at this forest. If you wish to help me, even if I should die sometime soon, long from now, if you wish to help me, if you wish to give me mercy, find whoever is doing this. Stop them. Life suffers in these lands. They hurt, and they chill, and they wither. So many children, so many pups and ducklings, saplings, humans, elves and dwarves. All life here suffers and dies and withers away. We all find our ways to carry on. We all thrive somehow. But something conspires to make it so that life here cannot advance, so that it cannot thrive. Something is conspiring to drive life from these lands. I call it the Long Dark because it's been around and it's pervaded these lands, the soil, the trees, the air, for centuries. And I've endured it because that is my duty. I guard these forests. I protect what life still resides. Even through the frozen floor and the icy branches, I still watch the life that lives here. If you want to help me, stop whoever is doing this. And with that, she takes a step back and leans against the tree and begins to become reabsorbed to it. Now, once more, up to her waist in the bark.
Was that all in Sylvan, or was that actually in like comp? Or anything
That was
like
in
that?
Sylvan.
I was translating. I was
Yeah.
translating in real time.
Ico translated.
So she was doing that in real time. One last thing that the Dryad says is, I do not await that you do this for me. It is a lot to ask for. But if you truly wish to help me, and indeed help everyone here, whether it's the people lost in these woods, or the animals or the trees, or you have any shred of empathy in you, if you would help me, I can guide you. I can open the path through the trees to the only last trace I know of the entry point that these creatures always use when stepping through me. And from there, I can only hope you'll find the trail. Stop whatever is causing this.
At this point, Kara will give her a nod and stand back to his full height, and while his hand was outstretched, he'll kind of gently place it against the bark as kind of a reassurance, and then nod and say, and for that decision I respect, and I will then promise you, the men, the creatures, whatever did this to you, I don't intend to allow them to continue to live. I will bring peace to these lands, and I do hope then that you will find some peace. I intend to rule one day, and if I shall rule over this land and this nation that I intend to build, then I would not have it any other way.
This time, Igo did freely translate.
I see
While
ambition.
translating,
Yeah.
um,
She.
while
the-
translating, Igo's looking
But
near you. Near you. Near you, Remy.
you go ahead. Said Aiko was translating.
Okay. While Igo is translating, she'll give at the mention of my kingdom, I shall rule over it. Igo, give a skeptical look, but translate nonetheless. Like, huh, this is the first time hearing of that.
The
Huh,
Dryad
this one is-
will look askance at Karya. For her eyes will go up and down him, in particular around his face, and will respond, "You have ambition befitting your blood. But if you truly wish to be a king and not a tyrant, remember, the kings do not speak. I speak of we. The king is nothing without his subjects. Keep in mind those you intend to subjugate."
With a nod, Kara will reach back for his weapon and
Attack.
Finger of death.
yeah, obviously, yeah. I'm not attacking the thing.
I like to cast burning hands on.
Oh, if you... Okay, but to go back to the actual scene, we don't want to waste too much time. You are actually reaching back for your weapon?
Yeah, just to because I planted it in the ground.
There will
Beside
be a slight recoil and a drawing away from the Dryad as she eyes you carefully.
You know, Ikaria will then kind of place it down in front of her, and because he never points it at her. Keep in mind, he pulls it from the ground, then he places it basically at her feet.
She's obviously incredibly twitchy around anybody with weapons.
And he'll look up and go, "If you point us to the direction, I will ensure that we will see that right is done by you and peace restored to these lands."
I shall do more than that. First, are you prepared for such an assault?
We should go gather our friends before.
Agreed.
Slight reminder, some of you are still overcoming the after effects of the poison.
I'm gonna be doing that for 2 weeks. Actually, that's a question I had. I doubt this dryad is healthy enough to help me, but
How much ability damage do you have again?
minus 12. Actually,
Oh,
wow.
Didn't you get a potion?
That's right. I did get a potion. I forgot about that. I did not completely apply it. Now I'm at minus 7.
Okay.
So it'll only
Better.
take me a week. However, there is one problem with that. As he'll turn to Chico at this point and go, "I don't know if you have the time to wait, because now with their teleportation and their magic now asunder, they will be sending someone after to check and see what's going on."
They shall. But in order to do so, they must cross a significant distance. One that you will have no problem crossing, I help.
Do you know how long it will take?
Yeah, basically how long?
She'll think for a moment. Let me just check the map real quick.
Because we're not even like an hour out of the forest at this point.
No, not even. You're correct.
Yeah, no, we're like 20 minutes, maybe 15.
You guys were a brisk run inwards.
Yeah.
And you guys are... If they move the group, or even just as a scouting party, it will take them weeks to get here. It is paramount, though, that that should this be done, it be done within a week or two, or else they'll get here before, and Do not know what else they will do to my body. Fear they may chop me down if they no longer see me as being useful, or of having shaken their bonds. But you collect yourselves, ready for an assault. I will guide you through. I will bring you the lair of these creatures, as close as I can. I can root them out, tear them out at the root, and I can bring you back and hopefully defend your town against whatever remains of their forces when they arrive.
Kari will turn back to the rest of the party at this point and
Well,
give them each a look.
They will have no hope of reinforcements if you are successful. They will be stranded in the main body of their people. You may also simply wish to wait and ward them off, take them as they come. The strategy is for you to decide. I am offering my help.
Urban Dare.
Aiko's on a
Strategically,
warpath.
Yeah, thinking strategically, Courier will turn and go, well, we have two options. We can wait for their scouting initial party. They definitely won't send their whole force. We can wait for their initial party to come, see what's happened with their teleportation. We cut them down, and then we take the path that the Dryad offers us. Or we go as soon as we possibly can.
I think the less that there are when we arrive there, the better. Regardless, I cannot bear to see this being in pain any longer.
Well, I think it would probably be better to wait for the scouting forces to arrive, so that if by chance we take too long to defeat the main force, their base, while we're removing the infestation, the scouting party may come while we're away, and take down Miss Dryad, and that may strand us far away, without a way back. So I think we should stay here, take the scouting party out first, make sure the Dryad's safe, then we launch and remove the infestation.
I agree.
Well then, Courier will then turn back to the Dryad, and he's going to leave his weapon basically at her feet. Stand to his full height and explain. Well, since we've pretty much decided on what the plan should be, to waiting for the initial force and then going, correct?
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like.
Listen, yeah,
Here's
woo! Let's go assault the Dragon's Keep, and our way back is gone.
Yeah,
Fuck.
not only is our way back gone, but we won't have a way back, to my understanding. And if they send out a scouting party, while we're gone, they're just gonna kill the Dryad.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly. With that in mind, Courier will leave his weapon at her feet and then go, I leave my strength well. At least my means of defense is a sign of good faith. It's a showing of... Well, it's an old showing, at least for my people.
She looks you in the eyes, and then turns to Eiko. Eiko, are you actively translating this?
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, as long as I see nothing wrong with it, which was the only thing I seen wrong at first, was, hey, I can kill you if you want.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
since that's-
Your
since
response is, your people are strange, and I see little use of leaving this with me. I understand your intention. I also understand you are one for bluster and grand gestures. I suggest you keep your weapon with you. use it to strike down the threats and the problems, creatures behind this. Symbology is all well and good, but you should know that a king's actions are defined by the weight of them, not by the grandiosity of their words. You wish to become a king? You wish to become a king? Yes. You wish to become a... You wish... I mixed up king and land. You wish to become a king of these lands? Prove it. Put that weapon to use. For the sake of the people. And for the sake of the lands.
Aiko will agree and pick up the weapon and hand it back towards Arya.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice. I always thought it was kind of a stupid tradition, anyways.
Does that mean we're? Does that mean we're?
He thinks it's stupid too.
That's good.
Does that mean we're?
I was never one for draconic tradition. But besides, she almost conspiratorially whispers to you, Echo. Seemed like very much of a dragon to me.
She'll nod. She'll do a small nod as well.
Dragons, such strange individuals.
Meanwhile, points towards Vair.
Literal dragon right next to it, just chilling. That's alright.
I think Vair actually stuck behind. You never actually invited Vair to come out with you.
Yeah, I did. I said,
Did
hey,
you?
we're going.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I said, hey, we're going.
Oh, alright. Vair, for his part, then, has just been kind of absorbing all of this.
Yeah, he's just chilling.
Sort of just on his belly, legs pulled up into him. Head up, on the eye out for potential threats. Yeah. So yes.
I take. Hold on, I was gonna say. I take it we're nullifying our contract with the vampire.
I don't believe that we have to nullify our contract.
It's
Actually,
a
out of
temporary
character,
tool.
Yeah.
The dragon is being a loaf, yes.
What I'm trying to say is, I don't believe we're continuing with our job.
Well, the thing is I don't think that there. Well, out of character, I don't think that there was a complete time frame. I think we
There
just had to
isn't.
get it. Yeah, we just had to get it done, and we are technically where we have to be. If we wait a week to prepare for the scouting force to arrive, not only will we all be back from the wyvern poison, but we can most likely explain to I can't remember the ghoul's name.
Sergei.
Stanislav.
Yeah, Stanislav.
Stanislav is the vampire.
Oh, Stanislav is the vampire. What was his name?
Sergei.
Sergey. I almost said Spopovich. I don't know why. I knew it was an S.
Dragon Ball? Question mark?
Yeah. It's the buff, ripped, jacked dude.
At the end of this entire quest line is Boo.
Yeah, it's the boo. Oh god,
I
we're starting
knew
in
it,
the boo
bro,
arc.
I knew
can't
it.
believe it. Anyways, we can let them know what our intentions are. Basically, I mean, we don't have to tell them everything, but we can explain like, hey, we've got word that there's an attack coming. We should prepare, and we're going to go make sure that our target isn't killed, basically, without our knowledge.
Hey
Now,
guys,
the Dryad did say
we
that the
found-
distance away is going to be not just a week, but weeks of travel.
Yeah, weeks. Well,
I
yeah,
see.
that.
Meanwhile, we can just go. Hey, we found this cool, wonderful secret art that is this cool secret technique that not many people know about called lying.
Lying,
Stanis-
yeah.
Hey, Stanislav, we found
We got a
hints.
lead. We're gonna go
Yeah, we
follow
got-
up on it.
Yeah, we got a lead. We'll be back.
We
Now-
got a
Also, didn't we
lead.
Now,
we
We
get, like, an
actually have
indication
a
from an
lead.
NPC
Yeah,
that
this-
Roscoe? Yeah,
do.
that's
yeah,
what I was
you
thinking
have
about.
NPCs that you
lead.
haven't
Valerie,
spoken to
find a lead
yet.
on Roscoe?
Yeah, you've potentially, yes. You've also got NPCs that you haven't fully spoken to yet. Kind of been skirting around those. Also, if you need things to do in the meantime, if you want to wait out the scouting party arriving so you don't risk the Dryad getting attacked, which is a valid tactic. It takes a bit longer. And to remind you, there's also those 2 wagons that went missing. You could potentially go and raid for more supplies.
Oh yeah, we could go find wherever they ran off to.
Yeah, potentially
Yeah,
also
we
rescue
could
anybody who
find-
might have survived. Which would make Sergei and by extension Stanislav happy.
That's true.
But yeah, so right now you have a variety of options at your disposal. Since you have declared your intention, the Dryad is going to wait for whenever you guys are ready to go, and she will help you guys tree stride through to the closest known location or exit that she knows of where these creatures tend to step through.
Question. Funny magic rock. What do I do with that? 'Cause I'm still trying to holding that.
Oh, I thought you chucked it.
I was going to, but then decided to try and figure out what it was and didn't chuck it yet.
You know, in theory,
You can try and throw it at a
Yes,
wyvern again.
I actually have a question. The tree stride with the Dryad, is it painful because it is against her will?
Yes.
So, if possible, could we then use that as a gateway back
Yes.
to
She specifically offered it.
no, what I'm saying is she gets us a gateway there, but does it work in reverse?
Yes. If she allows
Okay.
it.
So we could actually
She can,
just-
if she wishes, pop out through another tree, like the one that she's going to transport you through. Open that up, allow you through, and then you guys
Okay.
all pop out back here.
So in theory, we don't necessarily have to wait because we're not gonna have to take weeks to travel back.
Yeah, that's
We
the
could
reason why she
go-
says you guys have an example. An advantage.
Yes, we don't
Sweet.
have to wait, but if for some reason complications arise, whoopsies, we're there for 1 day too long. Huh? Weird. Why can't we go back?
Well, that's the thing though, is that they can't tree stride to her because of how far
Correct.
the distance is.
But if
we
we're
wait-
there at the enemy base for too long,
Oh yeah, but are we gonna be there for weeks?
we don't know. We don't know
That's true. I guess we
who
don't.
they are. We don't know what they have.
You are correct. However, we could just leave if it's too much for us because we have tree stride to get out of there.
That's true, and then they can't come through. But that relies on the fact that because Trico removed that stone, that the forced tree stride that they were putting on her is removed. Unless there are other stones around the tree that are keeping it still intact.
I feel like the Dryad probably would have told us that there was more,
Yeah.
but what I
Miss
will-
Dryad, is there any more of these magical stones?
You've relieved me of the affliction.
Okay,
There.
that's good.
So
Are there any
here's-
more?
You
Yeah,
have
no,
relieved me of the affliction.
of the affliction.
Holo
Um,
then starts a wildfire joke.
So we wait for.
Well, it's
3
definitely dry
days,
enough.
Yeah. So we wait for 3 days. Get prepared. If I do nothing for those 3 days, I can get my constitution back. Because actually, correct me if I'm wrong there, Quest. If it's 24 hours of straight rest, you regain 2 points of constitution. loss?
Precisely.
Okay, so I am correct. I'm at
You
minus
just
7.
regain them. You don't have to make like a fortitude save.
Nope.
Yeah, no, I've already beaten
Okay.
the poison. It's just residual.
It's for healing ability damage. It's 1 point per 8 hours of rest, or if you get 24 hours of uninterrupted rest, you get 2 points back.
Okay.
Miss Dryad. Another question. How often are we able to? Would you be able to transport us to and from?
I only have so much strength, but as much as is required.
Well, question: would Karya suggest hey, let's attack? If we get fucked up, we dip. Would Karya suggest that?
No, I wasn't suggesting. I was saying that if so, I'm saying we wait the 3 days so I get all my constitution back, but also so we can prepare.
Yes.
We take
But
that
mostly to
time-
get his constitution back.
But mostly, well, also because we really need to fucking prepare. But we tree stride there, and we see what we're up against, and if it's way too much, then we can retreat. But if she has enough to get us there and back, did she say she only has enough to get us there and back?
No, she says she only has so much strength, but she will transport you all as much as is necessary.
Okay, so it could work. That Karya, for your question, Peppy or Fway, is just thinking on the fly of the ideas of what could happen.
Would
Wait, what's-
Karya ask that? Is what I'm asking you.
Mate, I need to. I have something I just remembered.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What's up?
Holo's gonna take a minute before. Oh wait, I forgot I had them out. I had them out exploring, and then he's gonna whistle for. Holo's gonna whistle for his capybaras.
Oh yeah, they're just not here.
No, yeah, because he sent them out to go scouting, essentially.
That's
Remember?
fair. You just let the capybaras go. Hey, go find something. And they leave. Anyways, yes, that is what Karya is spitballing. That we take some days to rest. We go and see what we're up against. If we think that we can handle it, then we go. If we can't, then we regroup, and maybe, just maybe, we can go and bolster our forces before we go back.
All right. So then I'll ask the Dryad. Two questions. If do you know how big the enemy base is?
I have no clue. I only know where they enter through and then exit out through me, and then the return trip. I can place you as close to where they enter as possible, but I do not know where they reside. I'm afraid you will have to find that out yourself. If it is a tribe of this size, it shouldn't be too hard.
Okay. And the second question is, based off the first question, I kind of answered my second question, so never mind.
Yep.
So, yeah, basically, if we go... I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, my idea comes a little bit later. For now, I've asked all my questions. I got all the information we need.
Okay.
We got a plan formed.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm pretty set. I don't think I've got anything else. I think we've got a decent plan laid out.
Anything Mallory would like to contribute, or even just observe?
Mallory, you killed her.
Too much lore.
Yes, there's so much lore. I don't know what to say or think.
It's okay. You'll have time to digest because we're almost at session end.
Oh,
Yep.
awesome.
So yes.
So the what is being done is not exactly in
the contract.
the contract.
Potentially, it could lead to, or potentially be leads to fulfilling your contract, because there was mention
we're
of...
looking for her father, who was taken by those things.
Yes. And this may lead you to finding her father, and therefore the debtor. So yes.
Yeah. And also the people who are doing all that stuff, they've kidnapped people, they've destroyed property, and they're like practically murdering a sentient creature. So I think it's part of his. He has, like, Mallory has to do something about it because it's his religion, the Lady of Light.
Yes. The
They're being a bit rambunctious, a little quirky, if you will.
yes.
Yeah, a little too.
A little chaotic even.
A little. They're just
They
being
are
a little silly, guys.
just breaking a few laws, disrespecting their surroundings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, no, the Lady of Light absolutely would not sanction banditry, raiding, desecration of property, murdering of innocents. The Lady of Light would absolutely be this type to say, yeah, bring the flaming sword down on them.
Oh hell yeah! I'm gonna judge them.
Time to do some crusading. Right, so.
Hey, Rami.
Mm-hmm.
What would Holo's patron say? What does Mom say?
Mom says, fuck these bitches. Kill them.
Mom says, eat them. Okay.
Yeah. Mom says they sound stringy and disgusting. Kill them. Don't bother eating them. Yes. That sounds like that. The dryad, for her part, is going to primarily recede into the trunk. Say, it has been a very long time since I've spoken with anything besides those slavering barbarians. You comes by sometime soon? Oh, company would be nice. But return when you are ready, and I will ferry you through, across the forest and across the hills. And hopefully your hunt will be fruitful. And we will see the long dark come to an end.
You're not worried. We will get rid of these. We will get rid of these.
You have my thanks. I must sleep for a time,
Right.
though. And she will give a weak little wave before finally fully diving into her tree.
We have a tree friend who's very sick, but nonetheless friend.
I am going.
Bye.
I'm a tree stand now. I stand Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So you want to switch to
Well, then-
cleric now? Or
Wouldn't it be
druid?
druid?
Or
Yeah, I was
druid.
going to say.
Well, no, there are nature clerics.
Yeah, there is nature clerics.
I mean,
Tree
technically,
cleric.
when it comes to nature and stuff, I guess Holo Holo's like the closest one here, weirdly enough.
Kind
but
of,
that's
yeah.
what yeah.
So, yeah, anyway. That's the... Sounds like you guys have some new information and a basic plan of action. And I think that's, while you guys are heading back to town, is where I'm going to call it.
Do
You
my
guys...
capybaras. Do my
Yes, your capybara's return. Lolo comes to heel in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Comes up along your foot. Used to sniff around a little bit. And then you swear you hear it. There's a little as something wet goes into your shoe.
I'll take it out.
Yeah. It takes a little bit of adjusting, and you step on it at one point, and it's a rock, definitely. Covered in capybara spit. Lolo being an asshole, as usual.
Yeah.
It's another one of those rune stones.
Oh.
This one seems smooth. The writing is jagged like the rest, but the rock is worn smooth. It seems to be made of some sort of marbled brown stone. Got a very...
A river stone?
Yeah, very much so. And if you guys were to use your read magic or linguistics, this one would approximate to the word flow.
I wonder if there's multiple dryads.
If that's the case, this is paradise for me.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that works even better when
One
I cut
second.
them down for their wood to build a kit. No, I'm kidding.
sorry.
Everyone
Dude,
looks
dude,
at Victoria.
Do not.
Hey, what are we talking about? What's
Talking-
about the wood?
Nothing. I made a joke saying, because Siren said, what if
Got
there's
wood?
multiple dryads? That'll be great, because that means I can cut them down and make magic wood castles, but I was joking.
Would
Um,
they like it if Mallory casted daylight?
I mean, it is currently daylight out. I'm not sure how much that
Yeah.
would change.
Would you like some more sun with your son?
Would you like some more sun? Would you like
It's
some
like
more
turning a
food?
flashlight
Man,
on outside.
Mallory is very pale for somebody who puts UV light up right to his face so often.
But
Nah,
yeah,
it's...
I guess.
I don't see why they would say no to it, besides the fact that you're shining a bright light in their face.
Yeah.
But yes. Anything further before we cut the session off?
No, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think so.
one last thing. I asked this, but you didn't give me an answer. Maybe I just didn't hear it. I saw that the magic rock that was at her roots. What is what do I do with it?
It's up to you,
Can
man.
Can
not
I
up
do
to
anything
me.
with it?
It's up to you to find out.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
next time.
I guess let me.
maybe you'll
let me
maybe
ask
you
it
can-
like this.
Hmm?
Let me ask it like this then. Is it an item?
It's a rock with engravings on it that radiates magic.
Basically, maybe put it in a tree and it'll activate it if you can channel it.
But what I'm hearing is I got a rock that has at least one casting of tree stride. That's what
Maybe.
I'm understanding.
It's going to take some experimenting.
Fine.
I'm not going to just deliver these things to you. You got to mess around with it. Mallory cast daylight on that last one. It went whizzing off into the sky towards the north.
Yeah, that's true. It did, and it makes me wonder if that fucking nether, if we're ever gonna get that nether pearl back, or the eye of Ender.
Yeah, magic rock of tree stride.
Are you googling it?
No.
He's putting it in his
No,
inventory.
In my inventory.
I don't think
Yes.
you can do that. So here's the question: when we get back to town, and Karya then dusts off the snow from the tent and then carries it the rest of the way, are we going to then wait, or are we going to basically?
That
what's
may be
the
something
plan
to
for
discuss with
next session?
with the other two party members present.
That's true.
You guys are free to
We can
discuss
see
that
what
in the
they
Simple
went.
Path Discord channel if you wish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can we start off the next session by it being like, okay, Vark and Flick's adventures while the party was away. They just
Yeah,
went
we can do
partying,
that.
did a bit of drugs.
They fell in love.
I was actually gonna say, would it kind of be like appropriate just to have next session be like take place a week later or something like that? Unless there's like
That could
some
work.
other
If you
thing?
guys, if by the time the next session starts, you guys have a agreed upon plan of action, then yes, you could do that. So long as you guys have an agreed upon plan of action. Although we would have to explore what you guys do in terms of like the NPCs in the town, and if you explore the other caravans, or if you just wait and rest.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, if you guys have to lay out a concrete idea of what you're all doing during that time, and what your plan of action is when the time comes. That's your guys' homework as a group. Even if you don't come into agreement, we can always do it during the session next time. Not that big of a deal. But it also gives the opportunity for you guys who forgot to level up to finish up your leveling.
Yeah, I still haven't chosen a feat because I don't think we did the
Hmm.
grappling conversation at all, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Um,
thought like a 1 week of downtime type thing could make sense.
Mhm.
Like we could go about preparing.
Yeah.
I forgot to give myself a cantrip that I gave myself.
Either way, what's up, Quest?
I'm just trying to think. Yeah, no. Shit, I got a terrible idea. Beloved Back Mountain.
Oh.
That's what they comment of. They fell in love with each other. It's fucking goddamn it. But yeah, no. If we can always do a quick dive into what those two were doing. They were mostly doing their own thing.
They were.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Vark went off to
they
go
were
do some
kids.
exploring, and Flick went off to go patrol the area, make sure things are safe.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
Yes, absolutely. Totally not
Why
looking
do
for
I
a
get
long
a
time.
grapefruit technique from here?
God damn it, this always happens.
God damn it.
Anyways,
Yes, so the in the meantime, if there's any individual things you guys okay. I think the first thing to decide on when this session ends as a group, whether it's tomorrow or whatever, somewhere within the next week, is what your guys' plan is. Then depending on that, so first your group plan, how you're going to handle the assault and the incoming scout party, presumably is going to come. Once you decide on that, you'll have an idea of how long of a time frame you have to work with, whether you're waiting a week or whether you're waiting 3 or 4. And then what you're going to do in the meantime, both as a group and on an individual basis. If you want to interact with certain NPCs, if you want to go scout certain areas, look for certain materials, fix the entire fucking town, hunt down what's in those other caravans, build a monolith to your own greatness. Doesn't matter to me. You just have to have a concrete plan of action.
alright, so
Then
prepare
we can
myself.
definitely do a leap forward. If not, then we have to actually talk about what happened in that time.
Absolutely, yeah. I know for the first 3 days, I'm
You're
taking a
resting.
nap. I'm
Me
I'm
too.
going into my deep meditative trance with Vair.
You're gonna relax,
And-
knowing the fact that you don't have to haul any tents. This does mean you won't be able to do any repairs. This means full rest, no exertion.
Oh, I'm aware. No, we spoke about it with in the past as to how what would happen if the deep curse takes hold either Vair or Karya with the meditation, and that's precisely what he's going to do. He's going to lock himself into a corner, and him and Vair are going to sit motionless, meditating for the next 3 days as I siphon the poison out of my body.
Oh,
Yeah.
Karya, great, you're back. I got all these tents for you to move for us.
I ordered, somehow through a magical witch network, 10 more pavilion tents. Someone needs to move
They're
them.
on sale.
And then
They were-
Karya wakes up from his nightmare.
Yeah. It's like, and each one of them is delivered by this mammoth wagon. I don't have any horses, though. Someone has to pull them. Anyway, that said, the nightmares of logistics and Holo Holo's financial irresponsibility aside, thank you everybody for coming. That's the end of the session today. Thanks for coming by. Ari, as ever, thank you for being so generous. And to my players, thank you for coming today. It is and always will be a privilege.
Well, we appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys showing up. So, I'm going to go ahead and filter us out and yeah, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the ending screen. I'm going to probably go get a drink of water and take a lie down. Oh, Suki's there. I guess she was lurking. I
Hello, Suki.
Hope you guys have a nice day. Take care of yourselves. Those of you who need to go off and get some sleep, do that. Those of you who need to go, bio break and such, do that as well. Enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you for swinging by. Take care.
Bye. Before you go, Remy, look at my DM.
Oh,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
okay. Yeah. All right then.
Bye.
Everybody. So long. Stay excellent. Take care of each other. It's a tough world out there. I love you all.
Love you, fella.
And
Love you, homie.
goodbye.
What is this?
Oh wait, are you leaving?